So what we see is there's a very dense jungle. There are lots of jungly foliage, lots of vines and stuff. There's bugs and stuff flying back and forth. It's actually starting to descend from night into morning, but immediately pushing through the foliage, the vines and the grass are two figures. They are running full speed, just without abandon, just going through as fast as they can. In the rear is a Romulan male. He has his disruptor pistol in hand, and he's looking back, and he's just freaking out. Major, what is that thing? And ahead of him is Major Talise. And ELH, would you like to describe the Major, please?
Yeah, so she is a Vulcan, approximately 5'6", 5'7", maybe even 5'8" on a good day. She is clad in what would be a typical Vulcan robe, so very plain, very monochrome. Her color she's chosen is black, probably not good for the heat and whatnot, but that's the color she's chosen. It is a hooded robe, and she usually has the hood up. And she also has ornamentation that would probably not be considered quote-unquote uniform code on an actual Vulcan ship or on a Starfleet ship, but apparently that's what she's going with. And I think probably the most striking feature that she has are probably her golden eyes. They're a little unnatural, but rest assured, she is not a cameloid. She is indeed a Vulcan. She just has really unnatural eyes. But as she's running, she sort of calls to the Ulan and says, Tamir, come. We can't just keep running in this random direction. It's not logical. We must find a solution.
And behind you, you hear the crashing of the creature that just consumed your shuttle, which is what prompted you guys to run away. Your small two-man shuttle, which is how you approach this planet. And you, Talise, managed to land the craft, not exactly crashing. What happened was the shuttle lost power, and you were forced to quickly find a landing place. And basically, it was a complete power drain. All the ship systems immediately cut out, and you had to set down. And then as soon as you two took a look outside the shuttle, this creature, which now pulls its way through the undergrowth, we see it undulating through the jungle. You can't even see the end of it. It's probably at least 40 meters in length. It's got fluorescent colors, greens, oranges, and reds. It consumed your shuttle in 2 bites, and it's been chasing you guys. And since you stopped to talk, it rears its head up, and the Ulan, he turns around and fires his disruptor. And misses. And the creature, upon missing, it kind of notices him. It swoops down with its mouth and consumes him entirely.
There is a momentary moment of reflection, but Talise is gonna use this opportunity to abscond elsewhere.
You do have a disruptor at your side.
What about his disruptor? Could I give you 2 threat to say that he dropped his disruptor as he got nommed?
Oh, sure. I mean, he missed. He wasn't very effective with it, so I don't mind having him lose it.
Okay, so to paint the picture of what I have in mind, Talise, again, very calm, non-emotional Vulcan, is going to be advancing in an opposite direction, or is it retreating in a forward direction? I never remember the phrase. Either way, she's getting away from the creature, and if it attempts to pursue her, she just continually fires with either one or the other, so there's just a constant stream of fire.
And what happens is, with the Ulan who has now departed, when you fire his weapon, it actually doesn't fire. And your disruptor, why don't you give me a roll, please?
Sure. Standard control security?
Yeah, standard controlled security.
Okay.
Trying to see if you hit.
I do not have a focus, so we're just going to straight roll this and see what happens. I succeed quite well. We get a momentum.
That's a very good hit.
All right. Disruptors are same as phaser type 1s or type 2s?
Type 2, you have a pistol. The only difference is you will have Vicious 1. And okay. I think disruptors don't have a non-lethal setting, but I won't make you give me threat for that.
Right. Actually, you're right that they don't have a non-lethal quality, but I think, again, by default, all attacks are non-lethal unless said otherwise. I could be wrong. But let's see. So if it's a phaser 2, that means it's a base of 3. I have a security of 2. I have 5 challenge dice. I've rolled a 1. I'm going to go ahead and use that 1 momentum to re-roll those. And that's a hell of a lot better. That is a grand total of 7, 8, 9 damage.
So you manage to shoot it between the eyes, and it retreats, giving out a loud shout as it pulls away back in the jungle. You notice that it is not quite moving away as fast as it moved towards you, like as it chased you to, but it is moving away.
Then I'm going to continue going the opposite direction.
And as you're walking away, you notice in the sky, because the sun is starting to come up, in the jungle, like where you are now, you notice it's pretty cold. You know how these things work. Is at night in a place like this, it's going to be cold, and then when the sun comes up, it's going to warm up significantly. And it looks like the morning is starting to come up on this planet. And above you, you see what looks like a Starfleet shuttle, which is not what you were expecting, but a Starfleet shuttle is having the same problems that your ship had when you landed hours ago, and it's making a fairly rapid descent.
Question, because this isn't very clear in the lore, or at least I've never found an answer on this. Not only do Vulcans carry like a Starfleet compatible like comm badge, but are they also able to just, tap the badge and say, "Hey, you in the shuttle," kind of a thing?
Just for ease sake, for the game, I'd say you could communicate with them through your comm badge.
Okay. So I tap my comm badge and I say, to the Starfleet shuttle that is having difficulty landing, might I suggest that you realign your polarizing auxiliary manifold that will help you get down safely?
And you actually don't get a reply. And it could be because at that moment you see the running lights even on this shuttle go out, and it continues forward in its momentum, but it starts knocking down trees, and it makes a much harsher landing than you were able to with your now consumed Romulan vessel, but it looks like it might have just kind of crashed.
I guess Talise just sort of sighs and starts heading in the direction of the crash site.
And the title of this mission is Better Strangers. And we start off, it's now the morning, maybe, 30 minutes to an hour later. Talisa's chase and combat happened, not very long ago. But further on in the jungle, we can see the shuttle. It's one of the larger shuttles that the Hope has. It's mostly designed for this sort of mission where you're going on an extended leave somewhere, and it should have all sorts of equipment that you could deploy and stuff. Well, when it's actually landed correctly. But unfortunately, this shuttle has basically crashed. And behind the shuttle, a long path of destruction, trees, grass, and vines have been devastated as this shuttle came to rest as it's crashed into the jungle. I'd say it's like a futuristic version of the Argo, and that it might have like a scooter or something in the back if you could get it out, but it's probably not going to happen now because a good part of the shuttle it looks like it could probably fly, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and there's some smoke emanating from the top of the shuttle.
Igny's a lieutenant. I don't know who would be the ranking officer on this.
Well, let's actually move into the interior of the shuttle and talk about who is on this mission. So we've got Dr. McGowan. She was the head of the task force. I think we have Igny, and who else?
Ensign 8 of 13.
Igny, while I'm fixing up your token, if you could talk to us a little about Igny, who they are, and what the rank is and their job on the Hope.
He is a 5'7" Cation, full black fur, nice yellow eyes. He is in the standard operations gold. He's actually security and slash sometimes con officer, typically on the gamma shift. And he's been in Starfleet for a good while now. And that's all I can think of for him right now. Because I literally made him 45 minutes ago.
And who is piloting this ship for the shuttle?
Oh, Igni.
So, Igni, what went wrong when you were coming in is you just lost all power. And in fact, the only lights in the shuttle at all are the emergency lights, and they're starting to dim out.
He's just going to hit his consoles a few times with his hands and hiss at it. And I was like, well, Brick's dead. Is everyone okay?
Little bit sore, but I think I should be fine. Doctor?
And behind you also is Ensign McGannis, the security officer who followed Isha around for a while. But I think the person in charge of this mission is Dr. McGowan. She's a full lieutenant. She does not answer when you ask, and after a few seconds, she says, oh, that hurt. How is everybody? And McGannis replies to you, 8. Well, I guess I'm in one piece.
So, aren't you eggheads supposed to know that there's a, I don't know, dampening field around this rock? Because now we're part of this rock.
And McGowan says, that's not on any sensor scan we were able to make. It was kind of a surprise when we started to make our approach. I didn't detect any kind of... She stops.
Okay, who knows some basic triage? Because I'm just furs and claws.
I know a little bit, but my knowledge is fairly basic.
Well, that sounds like you're volunteering for this.
I guess so. And A13 will decide to unstrap themselves from their seat and go check out the doctor. Let's make sure there's nothing immediately wrong, at least.
So McGowan, as she hasn't lost consciousness yet, she doesn't have any visible cuts on her, but as she pulls her shirt back, she has a very dark bruise on her side. Let's do maybe a reason medicine difficulty 1 here, 8.
Okay. See, she wouldn't have a focus here because her only medicine thing is combat medicine. This isn't really the case, so...
Looks like probably an internal injury.
Okay. Like maybe something along the lines of like some burst blood vessels, bruising, etc.
Looks probably, I'd say with 1 success, just kind of what you're looking at here is probably something internal, maybe punctured lung, maybe it's some internal bleeding, that sort of thing.
Okay. She'll kind of look at the bruise and you see her immediately kind of like grimace. Looks you might have some sort of internal damage, but it doesn't seem like anything fairly serious as far as I can tell.
McGannis hands you a first aid kit and also a medical tricorder, and he says, it's in, maybe this will help.
Thank you. And she'll just sort of, if she can, just sort of try and get to work and repair whatever this might be, or just get a better idea with the medical tricorder.
Well, you flip the medical tricorder and you're expecting the lights and the sounds of the medical tricorder to respond, but it's nothing. It's completely dark. It's just like a brick in your hand.
Well, Ensign McGannis, this would actually be useful if it was working. And I'll kind of hold it up and kind of, tap it a few times as it doesn't turn on.
To be fair, we're all in the same field. You should have been aware of that too. Don't mind me, I'm just going to go work on the ship now. He's going to get up and go to the back of the shuttle.
And
kick the
McGowan
core.
says, it sounds like a non-localized distortion. It's probably affecting everything.
Supposed to have an advanced new ship here, better sensors, can't pick up a simple dampening field. Hooray! Now we got a piece of junk here.
So Igni, you go back to the back of the ship and you're looking at diagnostics. Most of the screens are dark.
I don't know what I expected, but this is it. He's just gonna go to the warp core and he's gonna see if it's still mixing matter and antimatter, or if it's completely stopped.
Maybe give me an engineering reason check, difficulty of 2.
Engineering reason. 2. Field repair is a focus.
Yeah, that'll apply.
Yeah.
So it's a warp core. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, warp core's here. Is it humming at least?
It is humming, yeah.
Okay. Well, best guess I got is it's on, but something is being blocked from there to the rest.
And McGannis, he pulls a phaser and he says, well, if this is any help, my phaser is at 25%. These other phasers are dead.
I'll take a look at my own phaser at this point. Is it about the same condition?
Yeah, you're closer to McGannis. You're around 25%.
Okay.
So we have a phaser that can do, 1-2 shots each? Or a message out.
On stun, that's probably like 3 or 4 shots. If you set it in a higher setting, you might get 1 shot.
Well, Ensign McGannis, give me your phaser. Gimme.
Then he hands it to you.
Take it and open up the power pack and look at it. Like, could shove this into the communication relay directly with no buffer and dump all the energy into it and get maybe an SOS out.
And McGowan says, the problem is, Ensign, the problem is there's no way the Hope's going to pick up our transmission. They're still underneath the planet. We couldn't even get a probe reply back to the ship. Our transmission, well, would probably only be picked up by Klingons.
Well, if we start starving, he just looks at McGannis like, you. And just hands it back to him like, okay, well, in a serious note, though, let's figure out what to do. If we could get the system back on for a bit, we could try and triangulate when we entered this field and hopefully figure out where the center of it is and then turn it off.
Gowan says, that's a good plan. I'm gonna leave you guys to it if you don't mind. I think I'm just gonna pass out here for a minute.
He's just gonna look at Ada like, show some compassion, Doc, and give her some knockout juice.
And just like foams around for a hypo spray that she thinks might be the right one, and just shh. Should help her at least get into it a little bit easier. Was as we came here, this is a GM question. Was this planet's atmosphere breathable? Like, would we need an EVA suit to even go outside?
Oh, it's completely breathable. And in fact, I think in handouts, I made it available to everyone. The handout on Be Like Prime. That's the place that you guys are at. Yeah, it's available. Gotcha. And it's an M class. It's very habited, this place. For a flat planet in particular, it's unusually inhabited. There's a lot of oddities about this system in that this planet is actually in the center of the system, and all of the other bodies in the solar system orbit it, which is also very, very unusual.
Give it to a toaster to give me a good thorough report.
We should probably at least step outside, see if there's anything in the immediate vicinity that might be able to help us.
Yep, that sounds like a good plan.
Again, it says,
McGinnis?
Mr. Igni, did you have a plan for my phaser?
No. Well, it was to use it as a message, but you know what? You can hang on to it. If anything comes to the ship, just scare it off before firing. Oh, and one more thing. And I'm going to make sure it's on the lowest setting possible, then hand it back to him.
It's on the setting now that's like to just annoy someone. If you shoot them, it will hardly even stun them at all.
It's the pinch setting. Like, I'll stop that.
Yeah. It's like what they shot Zep from Cochrane with, just like the knockover setting.
Okay, well, since the doctor's knocked out and both of you are ensigns and I'm a lieutenant. Hi. Great. Okay, well, 8, I guess you're with me.
All right.
McGinnis, pew, anything that's threatening.
You got it. So are you all three leaving the shuttle?
We're having McGinnis stay back to keep an eye with the doctor.
Oh, okay.
How easy is it to open the door?
The door is on, I'd say to open the door, you could activate the emergency charges that will force the door open. It's not blowing the door off, but I imagine there's some sort of system that in a situation like this where there's no power, you can still get the door open.
Yeah, we'll do that. Pop one outside.
Yeah, with a loud pop, the door is open, and immediately there's a jet of hot air. This place is incredibly humid. And as the two of you walk out of the shuttle, you can survey the devastation behind you that the shuttle left with the velocity it was coming in at. You took out, it's a long path behind you, very noticeable where you came in from.
He just looks around and is like, oh, man. Well, she's gone now, so I guess she's not going to be upset if I wreck a shuttle. Okay.
All around you, that vegetation and starting to come out in the morning as the sun is rising. Lots of bugs, like you see them starting to populate around other parts of the plants. The ground is still kind of moist, like it may have rained the night before, but bugs start to congregate on you as you two exit the shuttle.
Using my tail to swat them the fuck away. No. Alright, well. Do you remember the sensorians at all before we crashed?
Not really. And I'll just kind of, have my basic tricorder out and try to get any sort of scan if my tricorder is even working.
When you open your tricorder, it makes a beep, and for a second you might see something, but then it just completely blanks out. And it too, like the medical tricorder, is now just a fancy brick.
Guess we have to do things the old-fashioned way.
So Talise, tell me how you would have approached the shuttle. You were able to track it down as it was coming down because it did not do so very subtly. Would you have just walked up there, or would you try to stealthily approaching?
I mean, if I could identify that it was Starfleet as it came down, then I think, I would just walk up, sort of appearing out of the brush unceremoniously, because I assume that there's Starfleet, and I have questions as to why they're there, but they're still Starfleet.
Yeah, the shuttle was very obviously Starfleet, had the markings. Like there's no design, there's no part of this design to try to hide the fact that it's Starfleet, has registration, everything all over it. When the two officers step out of it, you can clearly identify that they are Starfleet. So all things being equal, they are probably what they look like.
Yeah, it would not be logical for a Klingon or a changeling to masquerade as a Starfleet officer, especially on a planet like this. So yeah, I guess I sort of step on out and call out and I say, hello, are you all right?
Igno's look around.
Hello?
She just sort of stares at both of you as if waiting for an answer to her question.
Yeah, we're okay. Perfectly fine, in fact. Us and the 5 other Mako troopers aboard the ship are fine as well.
Come now, Mr. I didn't get your name.
Furball.
She kind of rolls her eyes and says, very well, Mr. Furball. It is not logical that you would have Mako on your ship. The Mako organization was discontinued many centuries ago.
Ah, it's a Vulcan. Okay, hey, what's up?
She sort of smiles and says, honestly, I could have just shown you my ears if you were that concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, she steps closer, starts to survey the damaged shuttle on her own, and she sort of runs a finger along the hull and does that thing where you sort of run it between your thumb and forefinger, and she says, let me guess, same dampening field that brought down my shuttle brought down yours.
More than likely, yes.
Actually, this is our dampening field that brought us down. Do you know where it's at? What's causing it?
No, unfortunately, as my shuttle crashed, myself and the, well, now deceased survivor, we exited a shuttle and immediately some very large beast that I pray has not followed me here. She looks around ominously. Literally ate my shuttlecraft, which would be a problem in this situation.
I'm surprised it didn't die from a antimatter explosion.
It was not a Starfleet vessel.
No. Hey, I just have a horrible idea. Do we have torpedoes on this shuttle?
I think you would. Micro torpedoes.
They have a significant yield on them. Well, comparatively to our size, significant. Could rig one up to semi-explode.
Interesting. If I understand your intentions correctly, Mr. Furball, and she's going to keep calling you that until you correct her.
He just grins.
If I understand your intentions correctly, Mr. Furball, it is only logical to assume that you are attempting to make some sort of a, what is the human expression, a RPG?
Yeah. That creature comes looking for more of a snack of duranium and titanium. Give him a nice little micro torpedo to eat.
Well, it would be very cumbersome to attempt to aim, let alone withstand the force at which the torpedo would leave your hands. But I suppose if we intensify the tertiary nucleonic reciprocating manifold, it could be something we could do.
And, well, I think I could probably withstand the force a little better. And kind of waves her one, like, Borg arm.
See, as someone who tinkers with engineering a lot, yes, that would work. But the rest of this, and he'd point to the fleshy bits connected, like, that'd go boom. That's only as strong as its connective tissue. I'd say we just find a hunk of meat, stick this micro torpedo in it, and hope to God it eats it.
Also, a logical conclusion. I still would suggest that let me ask this. How many micro torpedoes do you have?
He looks up trying to think, but in actuality, he's looking towards the GM.
I'd say you probably have 5.
Yeah, got 5. Significant boom.
Well, for what it's worth, I believe that if we were to carry it with us, just and leave remaining torpedoes here, I do not know if the creature is exactly attracted to eating such exotic metals, or if it was simply a location where my shuttle happened to be within its view. But in either event, we will both have a torpedo that we could use if it cropped up. And in the unfortunate event that it came back here, well, then hopefully it would eat those other torpedoes.
Yeah, we got people aboard. Don't want to have the ship. Well, one of them's injured. So I don't think they like the bugs. Keep swatting them.
Yes, I have found that the bugs are quite a nuisance. After a while, it is logical that you simply learn to ignore them.
Talise, as you finish that statement, you guys are all aware of the tip, 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 tip as it grows even further. It drops upon your clothes. You see it on the ground, and it's a light downpour in the jungle. But the bugs, at least, are lesser. There's still bugs around you, but they seem to have retreated to escape the rain.
Now I'm wet.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's easy for you to say. You have a sonic shower to use. I can't use it. Points to his ears. Okay, well, I guess I should say I'm Lieutenant Igni of the USS Hope. This is...
I can introduce myself.
Okay, well, there you go.
Ensign 8 of 13 of the USS Hope.
Wasn't aware that there was a Starfleet vessel in this area. Are you here on some sort of mission?
More of a barbecue, but that's on the ship. No, we're a hospital ship doing a little bit of survey.
This far into Klingon space?
Well, we got sidetracked with this planet.
It's quite a large sidetrack, if you do not mind me pointing out.
You can talk to the captain about that. I'm a lieutenant in security.
Yes, that is becoming plainly obvious the more you talk.
I also know some engineering stuff, but mostly security because of these and Papa's claws. Like, gee.
Yes, I'm sure they're fascinating. Well, in the interest of keeping Mr. I hesitate to say Isha, but Mr. Isha, if you would care to give your best recommendation about where to proceed from here. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a lay of the land before I had to make my escape. I was hoping that you might have.
Well, his name's Igni.
I said, yeah, I read Igni and said Isha. It happens.
He was just like, well, we crashed. Like, I don't know much of the lay of the land. Trying to figure out where this dampening field's coming from. Apparently, it wasn't detected aboard the ship. So maybe it's localized. Something in their area is causing it. You can turn it off.
Well, this planet is a bit of a mystery in and of itself. The fact that it is a astrological phenomenon further compounds the issue. I don't suppose on your way down, as you glanced out the window, did you see any mountains or caves or anything of that nature?
GM, did I see anything of the sort?
I'd say upon your descent, one of the reasons that McGowan picked this location from orbit, it looked like there might be a settlement close by, like a large clearing. Of course, as far as the relation to where you ended up, you guys sort of lost your bearings once the shuttle lost power, because at that point you weren't in control anymore.
When we were on our normal flight path, where was the sun? Like, was it...
It was in the sky.
Was it directly above? Was it more in front and back, off to the sides? I'm trying to remember cardinal direction.
I'd say if you follow the sun, I'm going to say on this planet the sun rises in the north and sets in the south. As far as the issue with this planet is, it doesn't have poles because it's the fragment. It's a flat planet, like it's not a circular or a globe. It's where you'd actually have poles. So the only relation that you guys gave it were just like the direction we're heading towards the sun, we're calling north, and it was rising in that location, and now it's let's say like 80 degrees to your left.
Okay, so the settlement was it directly north, where we're like heading towards?
To be easy, we'll split the distance. Say it was like halfway.
Okay. We were heading towards the settlement somewhere that way, north-ish.
I sort of look in that direction, and based on what they're telling me, could I potentially discern a general direction we could head?
Yeah, you can go into that direction. You could make your way through the jungle. It's pretty thick, but you can make your way through it. It'll be it won't be fun.
Well, in that case, Talise just sort of cocks her head to the side and says, tell me, does your shuttle carry machetes or other bladed weaponry?
Good question. And he'll pop inside and take a look.
Yeah, I think you guys would have something of that. So the question would be, would Starfleet make it mechanical, or would they actually give you like a machete?
I'm sure they would have like a survival kit.
Well, that's sort of what the shuttle is expecting to go into. So I think, yeah, you have that sort of equipment. It's not powered though. Let's say you have a few machetes, yeah.
And come out wielding 3 of them. Well, 1 for you and 2 for you, 18. Or 8 or 13.
Okay.
I'm going to climb a tree. I'll be back. And I'm going to look for a tree to climb.
And he's gone.
Igni, are you going to climb a very tall tree or a small one?
Oh, a tall tree.
Well, then we're going to make that a roll because it's raining. If you can give me, let's do security, fitness, difficulty 3.
Security, fitness. Okay. I have no values of talents for this. Security, fitness. It's a 15 at least. Hand to claw as a focus.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give you that. Yeah. Assuming you're using your claws.
Oh, yeah. And, shit, we have no extra momentum. Okay, I will give you 1 threat for an extra dice. Yeah.
Well, you're very good at this. That's 3 momentum.
Oh. All right.
So you bound up this tree like it's your tree. You own this tree and you make it all the way to the top. No problem.
I do the little thing where my tail arches around and look around. What do I see with my eyes?
So around you, you see jungle for pretty much in all directions. It looks like there could be a clearing, maybe 5 miles away, 4 or 5 miles away. And what could be a large body of water that empties out into that clearing. But all around it, and then on all sides and all directions, is just jungle.
Okay. I'm making mental note of that direction of that clearing. Hoping, is that roughly in the same area where I would kind of guess that encampment's at?
Yeah, and like I said, that you guys saw that clearing and you were trying to head in that general direction. This looks sort of like what you saw before. Nothing new.
Okay. I'll look down to 8 or 13. Yeah, I'm stuck.
You're stuck.
I'm kidding. And he'll slide on down.
Igni, what I will say, actually, I'll spin a threat to do this. You're soaked now. Because you went to the top of the tree, you got away from any sort of leaf cover that there was actually underneath the canopy. Going to the top, you were completely exposed and you are a soaking, smelly kitty cat.
I immediately shake between both of them.
Oh, okay. That's just.
It's times like this that I do not regret my choice of clothing.
Just have a kind of a little sly smile. And like, okay, clearing's over this way.
Before you guys head off, McGowan calls Igni, Lieutenant.
Yep.
And inside the shuttle, he points to McGowan. He says, she's really not looking good. And she's gone a shade paler.
Ooh. Hey, ears.
Yes.
You good with medicine? Like,
I have a rudimentary understanding of it, yes.
oh, why does everyone have a rudimentary? Why is our doctor injured? Okay,
Perhaps there is something I could do.
That'd be great because she's the only one that can help herself, and she's right out of commission right now.
So, cat permitting, I'd like to step inside the shuttle and see what I can basically suss out about the doctor's injuries.
As soon as you step in, McGannis raises his phaser at you and he's like, oh, who the hell is this?
Yeah, she's fine. Stand down.
Are there just Vulcans roaming around on this planet?
It is a long story, one that I can perhaps tell you after I see to your doctor here.
Okay, and he steps aside. But Talise, what are you looking for here? Are you trying to do an exam, or what's your goal here?
I'm basically call upon my emergency medicine focus, and the way I would like to flavor it is it's more the survival sides of things where you can't exactly just fix a broken leg unless you have very special equipment. But this would be the sort of emergency medicine where, yeah, you've broken the leg, but here's how to make a splint, or here's how to, keep a wound from festering, things like that. And I'm just looking for any sort of indication as to what sort of technique in those lines would work best for the doctor.
Why don't we first do a roll and you can assess what you think might be going on with her? Like a triage roll. That's the medicine reason. I think I said before, difficulty of 2.
All right. We have 3 momentum. I'd like to spend 1 of it.
All right.
And let's see what I got. Survey says 2 successes.
It definitely looks like she has some internal bleeding.
Would you say that, I know you mentioned it earlier, but would it be sort of a punctured lung or a broken rib?
That is one of those things you're not going to be able to tell until you open her up. So the way to solve this problem would be to cut her open, try to cauterize whatever that wound is. However, there's a lot of, you are not in an ideal environment to begin with, and you have no functioning tools. So you are aware that if you try that surgery, there's going to be a high amount of risk of her just dying right away, like if she starts bleeding. And then also, how would you stop the bleeding if you find what's causing her to bleed internally? And then how would you handle that? So there's a lot of risks involved in just trying to operate on her.
Okay. 2 questions then. Could I literally do the feel check on her? Because I think you can feel when a rib is broken, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, can I just do a very basic, feel test to see if it's a rib?
You can. I would say that a part of the triage that you've already done, you can tell that, yes, she has at least 1 broken rib. And also in the triage that you've done, it looks like she is probably passed out already from shock, which is not a good sign.
No, it is not. I turn to the Andorian. He is Andorian, right?
Yeah, McGannis is Andorian.
Wanted to make sure. I look at him, not quite with contempt, but she definitely would probably prefer someone else. But she says, Ensign, is it?
That's correct, Ensign McGannis.
Very good, Ensign McGannis. I need you to fetch me whatever you have in terms of a medical kit.
Yeah, I've got it. And he shows you the first aid kit, and there are some like bandages and stuff, but most of it is medical devices.
Does it still have the hypo spray?
Yep, there's a hypo spray.
Then I'm trying to desperately look up what the actual drug is, but there is a anticoagulant, which isn't going to totally fix the internal bleeding, but it'll at least buy us some time. Yeah, it's going to bother me now. I'll find it later. But my goal is, I mean, if we have a hypo spray, it's a pretty low tech device. I would load up the anticoagulant and then just kind of give her that. And then I think, and this is real world knowledge, which I'm sure you're like, oh God, why is he doing this? But is it a good thing to stimulate them out of shock or a bad thing to stimulate them out of shock? I never remember.
Well, let's go this. Since you have a focus in emergency medicine and transporter and replicators, you might get to this in a treatment option. It might be at this point better for her if you try to sort of put her in a suspended animation. You know, like normally if you want a ship, you'd put her in a force field and just like freeze her conditions the way they are until you can actually take her to surgery. There's probably some drugs in this first aid kit that would just lower all of her vitals to the point to where she might stop bleeding or at least bleed less. Unless you want to try to, so you have that choice. You could try to sort of lower her vitals to the point where she's not going to bleed out so quickly, or you could actually try to go in and surgically fix whatever's wrong with her. Like those are your two options.
Yeah, there's way too much risk with actually going in and trying to fix her that way. I believe that we are going to do a mixture of cordrazine along with some Cortolin for extra good measure. I found the medicine list if you couldn't tell. I think we're also going to go with just a little bit of anetrazine. So hopefully I'm thinking that cocktail will at least buy us some time. But as I'm administering this drug, I sort of call out so that all can hear. We're going to need to take her with us. I believe that leaving her here is certain death for her.
Okay. Igny's going to walk in and he's going to head to the back of the shuttle. How hard is it going to be to get that bike out?
So the bike is in the back of the shuttle, and the back of the shuttle is what took the brunt of the crash damage. And you actually see forget what it's called. We'll just call it the bike. The bike it's in bad shape.
Are the wheels still intact, though?
The wheels are intact, yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know is if the wheels are intact and could jerry-rig a little sled.
I mean, a sled would work just fine. I was going to suggest making a stretcher, but a sled will do nicely.
Got an idea. And he's gonna, typically in my head of a bike, the front wheel and the handlebars. He just wants to pull that off.
So in order to issue this this drug cocktail that you've come up with, Talise, in order to put her under, but still not, you're trying to toe the line between killing her and not killing her. Like you want to almost kill her so her vitals are so low that she doesn't keep bleeding, but then not kill her, like not make her brain dead.
Basically a very carefully medically induced coma.
Yes, exactly. I'm setting up the extended task. What we're going to do is the work track is going to be a 10. The difficulty is going to be a 2.
I do like the new change. I love how every time you change the extended task thing, it's like for the better. So I'm liking this a lot.
I'm just trying to find what works.
It digivolves into a new form. It's actually really neat.
Mm-hmm.
So difficulty is 3. The work track is 10, and the number of breakthroughs you need to get are 2. And this is going to be a control medicine, and I'd say one person can assist if you'd like.
Well, judging by the fact that they didn't say they had any medical expertise to begin with, I think Talise logically would just say, no, I'm going to do this myself.
Actually, to make this more interesting too, I'm going to say you have 3 intervals in which you probably want to get this done in.
Okay, that advances the momentum plan. All right, so I'm going to spend 1 momentum to get a 3rd die. And then I'm going to spend the other momentum to decrease the intervals. So I only do 1 interval instead of 2 intervals.
That is a good plan.
Let's go ahead and roll. Fortunately, I only get 2 successes. And unfortunately, I don't have any talents that would let me re-roll that. So then the question is, do I blow my determination this early? I have a feeling that I have to. Otherwise, she is dead. Yeah, I'll call upon her value. The red line is a suggestion because, hey, humanoid bodies have a red line. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to re-roll just that 1-0. Okay, I got the 3 successes I need.
Yep.
Which means now I roll 5 challenge dice. And I've rolled a 1. I'm going to give you a threat to re-roll those 4. Still not great. That's a total of 3 work done, which is not a breakthrough and is nothing I can do.
I don't think it's possible for you to get the 2 breakthroughs, but you're welcome to try.
No, it is. It just involves giving you a lot of threat. I mean, what do the rest of you think? I mean, should I really go for this? Because I can give him 2 threat right now, and that would give us a breakthrough, which would lower the difficulty and give us a breakthrough.
I'd say, considering the time crunch we have, I'd say it's worth it.
In the words of Palpatine, do it.
Okay. All right, GM Josh, take 2 threat, and I believe the conversion is 1 momentum or threat for 1 work. So that should bring us up to 5 work done, which is a breakthrough, which lowers the difficulty down to a 2, which is manageable. And I imagine that kind of as Talise is working, she kind of curses something in Vulcan a few times and just says, why is it that Starfleet does not carry these drugs in properly labeled containers? It makes no sense.
And the problem, too, as you're going through this, is it looks like she's actually really in a bad way. So possibly the other injuries that she has that you can't see, like there might be multiple of those. And she probably is very, very badly injured.
But Gannis, wasn't she strapped in when we started crashing?
Lieutenant, she was. I'm not sure what happened. Although, when we first impacted, I think we did impact on that side.
Seatbelts are dangerous.
We always joke about how we need seatbelts on the bridge, but then we're on a ship that has seatbelts, and look what happened.
I'm not even going to comment on the absurdity of this conversation. Please give me a moment to think. And she is halfway through her mixture. I'm going to give you a threat for a 3rd die, and I'm going to go for all the marbles here. So, nope. And I can't do anything about that. So the option is to give you another threat to make that a 1 interval, which means I literally get 1 more chance to make this happen.
Yep.
Let's do it, because even though she's not exactly a medical officer, I think she's kind of in the Vulcan, zen at this moment. She's trying to be very efficient, very logical, and she's going to do all she can to save the patient, even if that means giving GM Josh 60 threat. Okay, so
and as you're going through this process, you're feeding her the medical cocktail you've made. You've checked her pulse, and her pulse is almost non-existent, which shouldn't be at that point because you haven't finished what you're doing here, which means that you might be losing her.
Oh dear. I will immediately mix in some Alkazine, which should hopefully fix that. But yeah, this is for all the marbles. So take a 3rd die, or one die for a 3rd threat. God, I can do words today. For a 3rd dice, And if I succeed here, great. If not, she dead.
At this
She
point,
dead.
Oh, I was about to say at this point before you did the roll that 8 of 13 is definitely like standing beside you to assist. Like
I mean,
she's
you could
going to ignore
certainly
anything
assist.
that you say.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one of those things where she's probably not gonna listen to the first 2 times you poke her, but if you poke her hard enough, she'll listen.
Yeah. So I don't have a focus, but
You could do a control medicine here. Also, 8. I'm going to raise, because you came in too late, I'm going to raise the complication range by 2, so an 18 to 20.
I have a perfect complication if this happens.
I would actually like to pop 8 of 13's first value,
Nice.
which is help everyone, even those you don't know.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but you can't do determination on assist.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant, okay. Yeah. So complication range you said was 18 to 20?
Yep.
So that would be complication range of 3 on this sheet. Gotcha. Let's see what happens. Boop.
Okay,
Hey.
she is having a chance here.
Yep. That beat the difficulty of 2.
All right.
So really,
we
if you
need
get
to
5
see-
work, you win. Like
We
you've
win,
got the
you're
second
right.
breakthrough.
Okay, for all the marbles, we have 5 successes, ladies and gentlemen.
Just enough. You guys skirted all the way to the last interval, the exact number of work that you needed done to get the last breakthrough. Very nice.
Please don't let her die. It looks really bad on the report when the one that's in charge has someone die underneath them.
So
Not
8,
to worry.
describe how you were helping Talise here, and then we'll go with actually what the conclusion was.
8 of 13 will basically just like, even with her basic knowledge, kind of just like, not more guide than force the hyperspray in like a different direction than Talise was originally aiming the hyperspray. It's like, no, you see, it's actually going to go here and might jab it just like it's a little forceful, but it gets the job done.
So as you, compounding on this, as you sort of motion or push away slightly, she actually withdraws the hyperspray, looks at you and says, you used to be Borg. You have nanoprobes. I can reprogram those. And without even asking, she just goes, takes a sample of your blood and does hasty concoction and uses that to inject the doctor and says, okay, I think I'm not going to say she'll be all right. That would be highly illogical, but I think that we have bought her some time.
Talise, I'll say from all this too, what you have, the conclusion you've come to is that you probably shouldn't try to move her. Moving her would most likely kill her.
Then I say, good news is, like I said, we've bought her some time. Bad news, if we so much as move her an inch, it could cause irreparable harm and potentially death. So unfortunately, until we get rid of this dampening effect and are able to transport her out, she is stuck here.
Well, saves me from ripping apart a bike. McGannis.
You, Ensign McGannis, apologies, I'm not very good with names. I guess your job is to make sure that this doctor here does not expire. Can you do that for me?
Whoever you are, I can do my best. I don't really know much about medicine. I just have some basic first aid training. What should I do if her condition worsens? And how would I know if her condition worsens?
Are you a religious man?
Nope. Can't say that I am.
Well, then I suggest if the worst happens and her condition worsens, I suggest you pray to whatever God you find perfect for the situation.
Okay, I thought this assignment would give me a little bit of breathing room, but it seems to be I'm the curse of all my superior officers. Whenever I'm around, things just happen. Thanks for your help. Who are you again?
I am Major Talise.
Well, thank you for helping. I guess I'll watch her and just hope for the best.
I do that like Spock thing where I raise the eyebrow, but I don't say anything, and I just sort of exit the pod. Well, Lieutenant, Ensign, I believe it is time we made haste for that clearing.
I agree. Let's go while the day's still young. Do we know the day cycle?
Well,
don't
considering I landed at night and I saw the sun rise, my guesstimate is we probably have a good amount of daylight hours ahead of us.
No. Let's get going.
And just like that, the rain is done. But what it's left behind is a really muddy landscape. The ground you're walking through, your boots sink down, just past your ankles. And then the bugs descend on you again. It seems as though when the rain is over, they become more excited. And now there's like a cloud of insects around all three of you as you're making your way away from the shuttle into the jungle.
Oh, this sucks.
Now, what do these insects look like as we're walking? Are they like smaller? Are they actually fairly sizable?
They're very small. They're like very, very small flies. And they're not exactly biting you. They just seem to be very interested. Like they'll land on you and then they'll take off. They're just very interested in probably your body heat.
Interesting.
Tails is swishing back and forth. So why were you on this planet?
I suppose it is worth telling you that story. I came here at the behest of Commander Varen.
8 of 13 just sort of raises her eyebrow as a way of saying, like, who is that?
Yes, Commander Varen. Good man.
My apologies. Perhaps I should be more clear. Commander Varen is the captain of a Romulan warbird. Perhaps the last one is in existence.
Interesting. So why were the Romulans with a Vulcan, or vice versa?
Well, I can, of course, brief your superior officer as to why I was with the Romulans to begin with, but it is safe for me to say that I was a member of their crew, and that, interestingly, we were going to this place, and she motions around, to meet a Starfleet vessel. I was never able to find out why exactly a Starfleet vessel would be out this way, or how that the commander knew that it would be. But my task was to take Ulan Tamir and scout this planet for a suitable base of operation.
What happened to... No, you said you didn't know the name of the vessel, right? No shape? Anything? No?
You mean the shape of the Starfleet vessel?
Yes.
No, I do not believe that the commander has dropped any hints as to even the profile of the vessel we were supposed to be meeting.
He's just going to stop and look at 8, and I was like, I swear, if it's... Why? This was supposed to be a relaxed, easy, laid-back posting. I was guaranteed no action. I could just sit in my room when I wanted to, push a couple of buttons a few hours a day. Okay.
Here's my question. In terms of, like, as the events correlate, has all the stuff on the Hope from last session already gone down?
Thank you. That's an important detail. So what happened was around maybe the first 3 or so, actually it might have been the first scene of the last time we were playing, Williamson sent McGowan to the shuttle bay, so McGowan would have left at that point. So what you guys have no knowledge of so far is Isha's trial. Like, you knew that Isha's trial was going to happen. Like, Lovely has already been killed. You know about that already. You don't know anything about the outcome of Isha's trial or what happened to Isha, and you definitely don't know anything about the Romulan ship that was seen right at the end of the last time.
And we also don't know about the Linares is actually a Silverblood stuff yet either.
Correct. You don't know anything about the extra Linares. Yep.
Cool.
So my barbecue comment was about Lovely being vaporized, not Isha.
No.
Because he was talking to McGowan.
Yeah, you
Oh.
definitely know about Lovely being killed, and McGinnis was on the bridge along with 8 when Lovely was killed. Yeah.
Well, if that vessel's the Hope Major, it's been eventful, to say the least. And I think eventful would be, I believe the phrase is an understatement.
Well, I would ask further questions, but I honestly do not see how they would have any bearing on the situation we find ourselves in.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, let's get hacking away, I guess.
All right. So as you guys slodge your way through the jungle, tell me exactly what you're carrying. That's kind of important.
I guess Igny's uniform's a little different. He has a hood up at all times. One machete, because 8 didn't take the second when he offered her. He would probably have, honestly, just that. Like, maybe, I guess he'd still carry his phaser just in case it did work. But 8 has hers that has a 25% charge.
And then McGinnis has the other working one.
Yeah. With strict orders to only stun things.
So if we find a dead body when we come back,
It better be McGinnis.
8 of 13 probably has the basic security Starfleet uniform. The apparently 2 machetes that were handed to her by Lieutenant Igny, and the now fancy brick medical tricorder, a first aid kit, and probably her phaser, which I'll probably say in this case, since she's the de facto chief of security, would probably be a Type 2 in this scenario.
Okay. And
And
Talise,
then,
I think you have 2 disruptors, correct?
Correct. I do have the 2 disruptors. I don't know that one is still functioning or not, but I have the 2 disruptors. I would have probably taken the spare machete just because. And then other than that, I just have whatever I was able to get off of my vessel before it crashed here.
So take Talise, the disruptor that you picked up from your buddy, the Ulan who died, his disruptor is completely empty. You're just holding on to it. And your disruptor probably has 1 shot.
I'll have to make it count. Do we? No, we don't have any momentum at the moment. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to have.
Okay, cool. So what we see next is a montage of your characters making their way through the jungle. And what happens is, as you're moving through, to begin with, it's pretty humid. The ground is very wet as you're moving through. The bugs are all around you. And then as you continue, there are points in time like where it'll just be a huge downpour of rain. And then moments later, the rain will just completely stop. The sun will come out. What's been consistent throughout is it's just gotten hot. It's gotten more hot, more humid. And it's just this cycle as you're continuing of just being soaked. The rain stops, the bugs come out, and you're all sweating pretty heavily from this continued. Like the going is very slow. Like you're constantly having to hack a path as you're moving through the jungle.
I hate this planet. I hate this planet so much.
And over time, we see your characters get progressively more and more muddy and dirty. There's no way to prevent yourself from just becoming completely disgusting, both from the rain that's constantly pouring, the sweat, the mud that you're trekking through. It's that TV dirty that we see in the series where like your faces have just that little bit of fake makeup that's supposed to be dirt. You climb over the rock that's very clearly like styrofoam, a few of those scenes.
Yeah, but if it rips, it's like, oh shit, that's real. Styrofoam. Every now and then, Igny loses a grip of his machete because Caitians sweat through their paws. Like, this sucks.
Let's say, Igny, you seem to be sort of leading the charge here. Why don't you give me a insight security check, difficulty of 2, please?
Perception of the focus?
Yeah.
Excellent. Woo.
Cool. 1 momentum. You're pretty confident, Igni, that you're going in the direction of that clearing. Because of the way you're moving through the jungle, what you'll do is you guys will take a few steps, you'll be cutting a path, and then you'll get to a point where you have to make a turn because the foliage is so dense. And you feel pretty confident that as you've made those turns, you still manage to steer your way back around to where you need to be. But then you're going for, it's hard to measure the amount of time because the sun moving across the sky is very slow, and none of your instruments are working to tell you the amount of time that you've been, so you're just kind of guessing. But ahead of you, you hear what sounds kind of like some chirping, some squawking, and then what sounds like some crying ahead of you through the brush.
So the moment he hears the chirping, you've seen a cat when they like see a bird, he does like his eyes like widens and he looks around. His mouth opens a bit as he's about to make that chirping sound back. He's like, no. Okay, I hear crying up ahead, guys.
Can you be more specific?
He'll just listen really hard. Was it like a child cry, or is it like an adult, or is it like an animal cry?
It sounds like animals. You hear some screeches, some chattering, and then you hear sort of like a squawk. You hear all that ahead of you.
Yeah, just a bunch of animals and typical animal cries. Well, possibly typical. Alien planet. We might be fine going ahead, might spook them, and they'll go away, or something's hurt and we're just going to get caught into possibly a predator area. I don't know.
Well, I will admit that I'm not very security-minded, so I will follow your leads on this matter.
Well, since we all got pointed ears, let's listen really carefully and just move around as best as we can. If we can see anything, great. If not, we'll keep moving towards that clearing. And we'll skirt the vicinity of what cover we can get and maintain to check out what these sounds are. But as long as it's in the same direction of that clearing.
I'm going to spend some of this threat to create a complication. 8 of 13. If you could roll for me a, let's do security fitness difficulty 2, please.
Her tubules go insane.
I mean, you laugh, but that probably is a distinct possibility.
Or I gave her an awful idea to the GM. I'm like, ooh, that's a better one than I had.
I did make a note, actually. Thank you.
Oh, no.
So fitness security, please. Difficulty of 2, 8.
All right. Boop. Man.
So what happens is as you're walking through, so you've been watching your approach, as you've been walking through this, carefully avoiding, bogs and everything like that. But as the two people ahead of you, Talise and Igni, are talking, you don't really watch your footing, and you take a step and you catch sort of like a big mudslide down this hill that you guys are at the top of, and you slide forward. You break through the brush and you land sort of right on your butt in the middle of this clearing, on the edge of this clearing. And you see immediately what was making the noise.
Igni will just look to Talisa like, abandon her. She's lost. Let's keep moving.
So what you see are...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
You see 3 small animals. They look, in human terms, sort of like 3 small gerbils. However, they have very wicked teeth and claws, and they're standing on their hind legs, and they are surrounding a creature that is, just a little over a meter in height. And this creature looks to be sort of reptilian. It's hard to figure out what its gender is, but it's looking at them, trying to fight them off. It has no weapon or anything, and the small creatures are darting at it, and it's trying to push them away.
Can I see either Igni or Talise over that? Basically, look back up and see them, or
You can. There is some brush that is covering them, but you know exactly where they are because you just fell down and slid sort of right past them.
I'll just kind of try to like, basically like a stage whisper. Lieutenant, Major, we've got signs of life down here.
And Talise, without prompting, is going to probably slide, hopefully a little bit less dramatically, down the slope to aid this creature.
Well, you gave me 8 threats, so I gotta make you do it. Give me a fitness security roll, also difficulty 2, please.
Now, I do happen to have the expedition expert talent, which means that prior to an away team mission, I may conduct a research task, and if I succeed, I can substitute my science discipline in place of any other during a task to navigate or traverse difficult terrain during the mission. Now, would you say it was fair for me to have done so, given that I was tasked with coming down here to begin with?
I will let you do that. However, I'm going to actually make you do that science check to see what you would have learned before you came here at a difficulty that if you fail could negatively impact you in the future because you would have incorrect information.
Fair enough. Would you say that this science check involves sensor operation?
I think so. Yep. Sensor operations. It'll be a science reason. The difficulty is going to be a little higher than normal just because of the nature of this planet. It's going to be difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. All right. I will give you 1 momentum for a 3rd die. And take 2 threat as well. Total of 4 dice. Survey says, apparently I just cannot roll tonight.
So the failure here is that the information you received told you all sorts of incorrect things, like this should have been a forested planet. So what that will be is you cannot use your science here in this roll because the information you have was incorrect. They told you to prepare for something that did not, like your scan gave you information that does not apply here because it's just wrong.
All right. And what is the difficulty on the fitness security again?
That's a 2.
We're just going to roll it straight and see what happens. Of course I pass it. Of course.
You managed to hold your footing. You know, you can see this is how 8 fell down. It wasn't exactly just because they're awkward, but this is pretty precarious.
Yeah, I guess I end up like right there. And I'm just going to sort of motion at the little creature and I say, well, are you going to help me?
And the little creature looks at you and it says in a high squeaky voice, Vicky, tac. And then one of the small creatures jumps on it and bites it sharply in the shoulder. And at that point, we are going to move into some more structured combat. So the only person that has not done anything yet is Igni. So Igni, what would you like to do here?
Shit. Okay. This is a dumb idea, but I actually like it. I'm gonna do what Spanky, my old cat, you'd do when he'd get skittish on something. Igni's gonna hop down, and he is going to do what a cat do, and he's gonna puff up with his tail and everything's out there, and he's gonna start hissing at these things, getting in a position where he's trying to look big and threatening.
Okay.
Towards his little fur balls.
But you are hopping down, is that correct?
Yes.
So before we get started, do the security fitness roll for me, please. Difficulty of 2. Actually, I'm going to make that with more threat. I'm going to make that a difficulty of 3 because you're jumping. So that seems even more precarious.
Question for you. Were we supposed to do anything special with the support characters, or were they just straight support characters?
They're straight support characters. What I'll do for Igni's, because Igni doesn't have a value, is I'll get to a point probably after this, honestly, where I'll just let you take a progression if you want. Give yourself a value, give yourself a talent.
Okay. I'm going to give you a threat for an extra dice. And it was just an increase in difficulty, right? No complication range?
Yeah, just increase in difficulty.
Okay. I don't have a focus for this one, so don't need it.
You jump and land gracefully on your feet, and I'll let you put yourself wherever you would see yourself landing.
Ha. in front. He's going to be up front.
So you were right on top of these two guys. Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to make himself look as big and puffy as possible. If it helps, he'd even take off his top just to make sure that he is as puffy as possible.
Okay.
Yes, the Kirk approach to all combat. Rip your shirt and yell, "Con!"
We do actually have a house rule for your uniform being ripped. We'll give you a momentum.
Hey! So he rips off his shirt, then he puffs right out, and you realize, like, oh, he's actually a very fluffy cat.
Okay, there you go. There you go. You've taken your momentum. Your uniform is torn, though, so it's Kirk style torn. There's no, like, just buttoning it back up. You tore it off. Okay. So let's say with your uniform tore off, let's make a command presence roll, I'm assuming, because you want to scare these creatures off, the little guy.
Yeah.
Let's do command presence difficulty of 2 and extra successes. Well, we'll talk about that. So command presence difficulty 2 first.
All right. I'm going to use a momentum, and then I'm going to give you 2 threat to buy another dice, just to try and see if we can generate more momentum. So I got 4 dice here, and yeah.
That is an extra momentum. So with that momentum, I will let you decide, do you want these two that are around you to run away, or do you want them to attack you?
Ooh, those are only 2 options?
Those are your only 2 options, yes.
Damn, I was going to try and make them part of my little pack. I am the alpha, look at me.
Yeah, I don't think you got that many. You didn't get that many successes.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll have them run away.
Okay. So if you can describe that for us. So you've tore your shirt off.
Yeah, so as he jumped through the air, you see him rip his shirt off, and he immediately gets bigger as he lands, just soaking his whole entire pants as well, because, you know, he has to get it low. His tail's all poofed out, his ears are folded back, his eyes are big and round, and he's just like pulling back his lips, showing off his fangs, and he's just hissing at them.
And it seems to be very effective as 2 of them turn and immediately race very quickly into the jungle. And you notice as they touch any, like one of the green leaves inside of the brush, their fur changes from white to green and the different shades, and they're virtually impossible to see as they enter the brush. However, the one that's on the little creature looks right at you, 8, and jumps through the air and lands on top of you.
Okay.
If you can do an opposed security daring for me, please. He is trying to bite any kind of exposed flesh that he can get to. And I'm going to buy an extra dice with some threat.
And I will give you that threat right back because I need to buy a 3rd dice as well.
We've got 2 successes.
So that's a momentum.
And I'll let you decide now if you are striking him with your machete or just like a fist.
Just like a fist. Or more specifically, I would like to grab it and just sort of like punt it away.
Okay.
So what, I still, because that's what, 5 challenge dice, I think?
Yeah, 5 challenge.
Okay. Now I need to.
So knockdown is one of the effects that you could have. So I'll say if you get a knockdown effect, if you have one effect on this roll, that will count as the punt. Oh, I saw nothing.
That didn't work. Okay,
yeah, that didn't work.
Hold on.
If it's still broken, you can try our challenge dice macro that I have.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll probably just do that. So that's under. Oh, there we go.
Question.
So we'll just have to ignore like the. Oh, so how do I change the number that I roll on this? I'm sorry. Because it says 6, but.
So if there should be a macro called challenge dice, and when you hit it, it should ask you the number of dice that you want to roll.
I'm not seeing it. I see a rollable table for challenge dice, but I don't see the macro.
Then you should be able to do, I think it's /R, and then you could copy everything that was in that part of the text, like the 1T square braces challenge dice.
Oh,
And-
I see.
Yeah, just change
And
the
then, like,
1 to 5.
Gotcha. Oh, work with me here. There we go.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I want to try and do an entry to this thing. I'm just trying to get it away from me.
As you drop kick it, it flies through the air, and as it reaches a point into the brush, you kick it, it goes flying very high. It hits one of the leaves in like a low hanging tree, and it also does change from white back to a different color, a color green and brown, so it blends perfectly in, and it come back at you. It may have just run off, but you don't hear or see it anymore. But the small creature at that point looks back and forth at all of you, and it says, Vicky? Vicky?
I kind of just give like this weird look on my face of like, basically just trying to convey that I don't understand what they're saying. Just kind of shake my head no, maybe, and like shrug.
Without a roll, you guys probably all know what's most likely going on is your universal translator power is probably out.
Small problem with that. If that's the case, Talise has been speaking Vulcan this entire time.
Communication.
Maybe the universal translator just ran out of power.
Okay.
Or it doesn't have the processing power to translate a new language, so it's just defaulting to maintaining what languages it can.
There you go. I like that.
And here I was ready to get to do a terrible French accent because clearly Vulcans are French.
We shall now only
Master Chief.
we shall only speak in metaphor for the rest of the session. It's fine.
Igni, his shirt ripped.
Igni just holds up a middle claw. This means peace.
Igni, the wet kitty.
Igni's just gonna look at him too, and he's like, just shrug and just wave and point to himself and go, Igni.
And the young creature looks at you again and says, Vec?
I'll point him, Vec.
So
Igni.
Talise, maybe. Let me look at your stat sheets. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with Talise yet. I'll get there.
I got nothing that's going to help here.
Actually, Talise, give me an engineering insight difficulty of 1. And I'd say you do have a focus in... Okay, no, you don't have a focus. Never mind.
That's what I thought. I was like, all right.
Replicators, no.
What's the difficulty here?
Difficulty 1.
All right, 2 dice. Now let's just roll it. Let's see what happens. Survey says as we get them done.
Hey.
So you know that you could. So you have a few devices with you that have power, and we're going to assume that everything in Starfleet has compatible power systems. So you could, without too much engineering work, reroute power from one of the devices you have that has power to your universal translator and give it the juice that it needs to start translating this thing's language.
Well, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I believe I can get the universal translators working again. The bad news is that I will have to sacrifice one of our working power supplies to do so. So, any volunteers?
Well, I have a dead phaser on me and my comm badge and, comm badge of Dunda Universal Translating. So, he'll just shrug. There you go.
All right. So I take the offered items and I begin my jury rigging.
I think this will be an engineering daring difficulty of 2.
Ooh, can I assist?
If you tell me how you could assist.
I'm guessing she's going to have to move around some fine little wires, and I got nice sharp claws.
I will allow you to
tweezers.
assist, but I will increase the complication range by 1, and the complication would be you get some wet kitty fur inside of the mechanics.
I am okay with this. All right. Don't have a focus unless these are replicators somehow.
No.
So take 1 momentum for that third die.
And I don't get a focus supply, right?
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
Survey says, well, that's 4 successes already. 5 successes. So 3 momentum.
So Talise, as you're manipulating the two, the universal translator, connecting it to the power supply, it's this whole montage where we don't really see the mechanics. We just see some blinky lights and everything just starts working. And Igni, maybe you assist by poking a claw here and there. But after a small amount of time, the universal translator reboots. There's the Windows start sound, and then the young creature, what he's been saying this whole time, immediately gets translated, and he's pointing at you, Igni, and he says, "You're so ugly. What are you? You are very ugly." That's what he's been saying.
Oh, so I gave up my translator. So do I even hear this?
I mean, it's one of those things where in canon, it's never really clear, because if you remember that one episode where the Ferengi crew from the DS9, they get flung back to Roswell, all they did was fix ROMs, or was it Nogs? They fixed one of the universal translators and it worked.
Okay. All right.
We'll hand wave it and say it works. It's funnier that way.
You just look at it like, so you're saying next time let those little things eat you. Got it.
And Native 13 will sort of like smack Igni like in a more of a playful way with her, we'll say it's her Borg arm, just kind of whack.
That's
And the little
rude.
creature says, why are you so ugly? What is wrong with you?
Still talking about Igni, I'm assuming.
It seems very fascinated with Igni.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born when the sun was down. That's what happened.
Ah, that explains it. Why? And he looks at the other two of you, 8 and Talise. You are ugly as well.
Cloudy day for 8, and rainy day for her.
And he looks at Talise. Where is it scales? How do you exist with no scales?
I just sort of smile, and she feels a little bit out of her depth, but she says something along the lines of, well, I am simply different than you. I need not scales or fur.
Ah, it makes sense. You will be eaten soon.
I'm sorry, Mr. Igni. Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm just laughing at the situation we're in. Yes, of course I'm laughing at you.
Good, because I plan to make a report to your commanding officer that you've ripped your uniform.
Happened in the heat of the moment. Hey, we saved a life.
Did you just make a cat pun?
Yes.
And she just sort of sighs and rolls her eyes.
And the little creature walks up to you, Igni, and reaches up and tries to remove your comm badge.
Nope, nope. No.
Ah, so pretty.
Well, yes, it's mine. It offsets this. He points to his fur.
And the little creature smells. You smell terrible. You are so ugly.
Yep. My name is Igni. What's your name, you glorious little new life form that we're definitely breaking protocol on?
He laughs. Ah, you are so stupid. Of course I don't have a name. I am too young. I do not have a name yet.
Oh. That's sad.
You are ugly, you smell bad, and you are stupid. Were you kicked out of your tribe when you were very young?
He's just gonna look to them like, okay, someone take over. I'm going up.
As you start to leave, Talise just puts a very firm hand on your shoulder to keep you there and says, yes, when he was very young, he got kicked from his tribe. It was very sad. They thought he was too ugly. Therefore, they kicked him.
Oh, my wife would love you.
It is very surprising that you were not reclaimed, considering how ugly you are and how stupid.
Hey, I'm not the one being attacked by fuzzy little furballs.
The rats, yes. They are a nuisance.
Well,
How much of a nuisance?
They taste good. We do not eat them often.
I
How
see.
far away is your tribe right now?
And the creature looks at you, Talise, and kind of cocks its head. Oh, you are so stupid as well. My village is very close, of course. Why else would I be here?
Well, it is only logical, assuming that you were out here alone without any weapons, that you could have been a runaway, or perhaps, as you suggested, you had been booted from your tribe.
or he's stupid.
I'm not booted from my tribe, stupid one.
How about you take us to your tribe? We're from far away. We've been walking for a while. We don't know the area.
Mother will be angry that I did not complete my task, but perhaps she will find humor in how stupid you are.
Would your mother miss you if you just never came back?
I
And
am a child.
8 of 13 pulls Igni back.
No, I'm not saying we kill him. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we saved
It is
him.
being very
from-
heavily implied.
No, we saved him from those little nasty, gnarly things. She'd be happy that he came back home. Yes, he's a little hurt, but he gets to come back home. He's not just floating face down in this river here.
8 of 13 just covers his mouth.
The creature cocks its head to the side and says, "Why would Mother care if I do not return?"
Oh my god. Sorry.
And 8 of 13 just sort of shrugs and then points to Igni. It's like, this one is very stupid.
It is so sad that you are both ugly, smell bad, and are stupid.
I'm a little less stupid than this one.
There's a very loud cough from Talise.
Didn't you fall down trying to walk?
I'm not the one who tore their uniform now, am I?
Oh, I'm sorry for scaring away those nasty... Okay, we're losing time on this. Can you take us to your village, please?
Yes, I will take you to the village. I have one question. How is it that you have a name and yet you are so stupid?
Well, it is because he is so stupid that we had to give him a name, so that all might know how stupid he truly is.
I can understand that. You are not one of the chosen, obviously. I can tell because of how ugly you are, and you have no scales. And for you, and he points to Talise, you will probably be eaten soon.
By
Not a lot.
what? What'll eat her? As I said, we're from far away.
What will eat her? I do not understand.
Well, where she comes from, well, where I'll come from, there's nothing that really eats us. We do the eating.
How are you not eaten already? You are so stupid.
Well, just imagine we're from very far away, like more than a day's walk, more than 2 days, more than 10 to 20 to 100 days walk.
Well, I will take you to the village. Mother will take a look at you, and chances are you will be reclaimed. But perhaps not. Perhaps they will have pity on you because perhaps you do not know that you are so stupid.
Sure. Are you okay, by the way? That thing bit you.
Oh, it's nothing. The blood will run, but eventually it will stop.
He just looks back to 8 like, is he gonna die? Is this a thing?
I'll just kind of walk over with. I will put my machete down and just kind of slowly walk over. Does it look like just a basic bite wound that'll easily heal?
It's a bite wound. Now, whether or not it's going to get infected or the future of it actually healing the way he said it would, who knows?
Would I have something in that first aid kit that could probably help clean it up?
Yeah, you would. You'd have at least something that's not mechanical you could try.
Okay. I'll at least try and clean it up a bit.
Let's do a medicine daring because I'm going to throw in some. I'm going to throw in a complication here. The difficulty will be a 2. There's a complication in that you don't know anything about his species. So if you fail,
Could we possibly say that combat medicine applies here?
He was in combat. Yeah, I'll let it apply.
I'll spend, because I feel real bad if I somehow clean this thing's wound wrong. I'm going to spend, I'll say probably 3 momentum to get 2 extra dice.
Okay.
And, during medicine. Yeah.
Oh, hey. Very good roll. I think that's 2 momentum.
Yep.
So, very easily, you bind up, you clean the wound, and you put a bandage over it. That's all you can do without having the ability to use the wound thing that closes it up. And he looks at you the whole time, and he sort of sniffs you. And he says, even though you smell and you are stupid, you can heal.
That's part of my job.
You said you are from another village. Are you that village's great one?
Kind of almost intrigued. And just because, de facto chief is secure now, she'll just be like, sure, in a very unsure tone of voice.
It makes sense now. You were taking these other 2 stupid ones home to be reclaimed. You were giving them one last walk before you reclaim them. That is very merciful of you.
When this thing says reclaim, they kind of look curious. What is this process of reclaiming? I'm afraid from being from a far village, I'm not necessarily familiar with the term.
And the creature reaches a hand up and it pets your arm kind of affectionately and it says, I am so sorry that you are so stupid. Here, I will tell you, when it is your time to go, you will be reclaimed.
Okay. Lead the way?
And it kind of reaches up. I'm assuming 8 has some hair.
Yeah, it has some hair. It's rather... it's probably not necessarily military cut, but it's shorter blonde hair.
And it reaches up and pulls a bug that was in your hair and eats it.
Okay.
And it keeps petting you, it's petting your arm. Yes, I will take you to Mother. I cannot guarantee that you will not be reclaimed, but perhaps if you tell them that you are the great one of your village, maybe they will let you speak before they reclaim you. And for the other 2 stupid ones, well, if they're going to be reclaimed anyway, then you won't have to walk as far.
8 of 13 will just turn around to Igni and Talise and just kind of gives a look of should we really follow this one?
I just sort of shake my head in disbelief. This entire time she has kept quiet, but is very subtly noticing all of the ways that they are breaking first contact procedure.
Technically, 8 of 13 broke first contact. I said we should just leave them. Leave them, they're done. Igni's just going well, maybe it's the source of this whole field. I don't know.
It looks at you, Talise. Your teeth are not sharp. How do you eat?
I capture lizards that bask in the sun. They are very lazy and very stupid. Like this one. I pointed Igni.
I ain't a lizard. And aren't you just a vegetarian? You just eat plants. How
Well,
stupid is
he
that?
didn't know that until you told him it, so thank you.
You eat my food's food.
This one is very stupid, pointing to Igni. It's just lying to make himself look smarter.
I can
Yes,
tell.
Ensign.
There are other nameless in the village who like to lie. They are often reclaimed.
Lead the way, Ensign.
Can I safely assume that by reclaim they probably mean killed?
Yes, I think by this point it would be very clear to everyone that this is a ritualistic killing.
Igni's just gonna pat 8 of 13. He's like, come on, Ensign, lead the way.
She'll just kind of look down at the creature.
So, Igni, at this point, I'll give you a progression. So, if you'd like, you could take a value. Talise, if you can give me a command insight, please. This is going to be a difficulty of 3. If you succeed, the difficulty will become apparent.
This is literally my worst stat. I'm rolling an 8 and a 1. Difficulty 3, you said?
Yeah, 3.
Sure, take the 3 momentum. Why not?
Okay.
What can possibly go wrong? Complications. No, I get 3 successes on this
All right.
roll because why?
So this thing appears to be a child, quite obviously. You have heard before, and this is kind of common in nature, that there are some species. This thing has said that it doesn't have a name. There are some species out there, particularly not, anything. Like most of your like lizard species, and like that, the way they handle their youth is very different from the way that other mammals do, and that their children are sort of disposable. Like they have so many offspring, they don't really care what they do. This thing has talked about how it's nameless. Other youths are reclaimed. It's very possible in his society that children are the lowest level of social status. So like when one of you mentioned like, will your mother miss you? And it was like, whoa, why would she miss me? That this all kind of leads toward that perhaps the children in the society are the lowest level and no one cares about them.
That tracks with what we've seen so far, yeah. Though I don't know that I would share this information quite yet, or at least not until we're getting walking somewhere. Your value is it's always a good time to rip off my shirt. There's your value.
This is going to be con.
Shirt's only getting in my way.
Clothing is but a suggestion.
But the little creature takes off in the jungle, and you notice that it's actually incredibly agile. Whenever it runs to like a branch or any obstacle, it very easily hops over it. And in fact, to keep up with it, you guys are going to have to really pick up your pace.
Easy. Now that I said that, I'm going to fucking fail this roll.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Fitness security? Sorry. Are we rolling to keep up with it?
No, I don't think you have to. Why don't we say this? If each of you take 1 stress, you can keep up with it, but you're really having to push yourselves.
Yeah, I'll take the 1 stress.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So as you continue, there's a montage of you moving through the jungle. The 3 of you are really having to push yourselves, and this little creature is just staying ahead of you the whole time. Occasionally, it will stop and say, "Oh, you are so slow. You are all going to be eaten." And it continues.
Okay,
on.
I want to roll for it.
Okay. Security fitness difficulty 3.
Oh, Jesus. Giving
You
you a
asked
threat.
for it.
Yep. Perception to make sure I'm stepping and moving around in the right position.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm giving you a threat for a 3rd dice.
Thank you. Very generous.
Mm-hmm. 3.
Where the others are wounded, or not wounded, but sort of winded keeping up with this creature, you've kind of managed to dodge through the brush and keep up with it without too much trouble. You are really having to focus on it though. But we see a montage of you guys moving through the jungle in that level of difficulty.
I just say on your left as I pass him, and then realize I don't know where I'm going.
And as you walk by Igni, the creature looks at you and he shakes its head. Ah, you smell so bad.
Oh, hey, you got caught up. Look at you.
Are you a giant jungle rat?
I don't know. You're starting to look pretty tasty right now.
But I noticed you do not change color. Are you a broken jungle rat?
Yes, he is a smelly, dumb, broken jungle rat.
Apparently,
that is the logical conclusion.
It is sad, but maybe you will be reclaimed before you are eaten. Sometimes we don't understand the way these things happen, but it is sad for you.
Yep.
As you guys continue, the jungle begins to thin out more and more, and this thing is just going straight for its village. Are you guys following right behind, or how are you approaching?
I think I'm probably towards the back, but yeah, I'm generally following the direction given.
Well, we've already come this far with breaking the Prime Directive.
I guess I'm doing about the same thing. Yeah.
And I'm not Starfleet, so I don't care.
And you guys are walking, and then all of a sudden, breaking through the jungle is the clearing, and there's a very large village. The little creature runs ahead of you, and you guys finish the step that you were taking as you're going through the clearing, and you feel sort of like the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It feels sort of like you just walked through some kind of force field, but you didn't see anything.
I puff out again. Like, what the hell? Anybody else feel that?
If you mean the momentary tingling sensation, yes.
Yeah. Well, my hair is puffed out. Great.
It takes you a moment to realize that the insects that were plaguing you the entire time you've been going through this jungle are no longer around. As soon as you step through whatever that was, the insects did not follow.
I'm going to look at 8. Like, anything else working? Anything being restored?
I'll take a look at my medical tricorder.
Nope. Still completely without power.
Is my phaser still at 25% charge?
Your phaser is now at 18%.
No, but this, holding up her phaser, got worse.
It could be decaying over time, or this is we're getting closer to whatever's draining everything.
This is true.
What if it's like what was that mission that with Kirk and Spock? They were on some planet that would eat people.
I'm afraid you'll have to be a bit more specific, Lieutenant. I can count no less than 163 instances of such an event.
I'll narrow it down. It had primitive life forms on it that were tricked into sacrifice people into it.
Approximately 102 of those.
Oh, gosh.
And the little creature upon entering the village races ahead of you guys and jumps into the pool of water. And you notice, like, this village is actually pretty heavily populated. There are several other creatures that are much taller than it is. It was just over a meter. Most of them are 2. Some are even taller, like closer to 3 meters. So incredibly tall. And they're all just going about their daily lives. They don't seem to be making anything or cooking anything. They're just kind of walking around. But this little creature makes his way to one of them. And so far, they've all just completely ignored you. And he says something very quickly to this creature to the side. And this creature looks at you and the three of you with a pretty stern gaze.
I do a wave. The Queen's wave. Hello! Hi. Oh, shit.
And the creature pushes the small one away, and your universal translator picks up, "Away, stupid one, away, away, what have you brought to the village?" And she actually walks away out of view behind one of the huts, and the little one is chasing behind her, talking to her the whole time, but she's hurriedly going somewhere.
I would simply like to point out that either she is going to come back with a large amount of other whatever they are, or she's about to invite us for dinner, or perhaps as dinner.
Hey, 8, can you still assimilate people?
I don't think so.
That's a joke. I'm not serious about that. Just
Since my phaser drained, is my one Borg arm, has it started to like wig out at all, or
So what is this Borg arm? What is it capable of?
I would say it's probably just a basic arm. Like it's probably a little bit lower grade than a basic drone. So I could, open and close the fingers and other things, but I would have had any weapons that it can make like removed whenever I was freed.
You are beginning to lose a little bit of dexterity in that arm. I'm imagining the arm probably draws power from something organic, so
Right.
you can't not control it, but it's probably less capable than it was before.
So it's almost like a kind of like a delayed reaction almost. So if I try to like close the fingers, it takes a little longer than I think it should.
Yeah, the little Borg claw that you have is just not clawing it quickly.
Okay.
You won't be playing the piano on this planet.
She kind of watches that and is like, oh, good. Well, if we need to move quickly, this hand won't be doing much.
and it's a blunt object, right?
And I'll just kind of like a little firmer hit. Yes. Anyways.
Some moments pass, and a number of these creatures begin to advance towards you. There is one that is noticeably different. Like, it's very visibly taller. It has maybe extra coloring. Like, most of them are a green, like a pale green color. He's actually a very dark green color. It's very dark green stripes. They do have a reptilian look about them, but surrounding him are a group of much smaller, a little slighter in build, and they have brighter, like orange paints or scaling about them. They are carrying spears. There's probably about 10 of them, and they move and surround you, and the large one walks up to the three of you and begins to sniff you.
I'll sniff back.
The large one says, You are here to be reclaimed.
Nope. How often do you see things that aren't, like you?
And it looks to one of the others, like one of the ones carrying the spear, and it says, They smell very bad.
Hey, high tower.
And it looks down at you. How are you able to speak?
Well, I have a tongue and vocal cords and lips. Oh, and we have some stuff that makes us talk to you. Oh, shit. We have waves. Oh, shit, that's even worse. Okay. Look, how often do you see things like us come here?
What my very stupid, very ugly, very smelly friend is trying to say is that no, we are not here for reclaiming.
Give me let's do a command presence, a difficulty of 3 here, please, Talise.
Literally even worse. It is a 7 and a 1. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
You make 8.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. No, you know what? You're promoted. You're now Admiral Apparent. Thanks. All right, I'll give you a third die because fuck it, why not?
I just want to know why you stopped calling him Mr. Furball.
Oh, I'm going to start
no.
calling him Mr. Furball again because my complication is that because I find it funny, our universal translator has a hitch for about a minute and we have no idea what they're saying and vice versa.
I like it. I'll go with that. So as you're saying something and then all of a sudden they look puzzled at each other and you hear, Baku tak tak, Baku tak. And then one of the other smaller ones look at the bigger one and says, ooh, Vika.
Well, I have good news and I have bad news. Okay, I have even worse news.
He just narrows his eyes like,
The good news is that none of you can understand what I'm saying at the moment, which is great. The bad news is we're probably all about to get stabbed. And even worse news is that Igni really, really is ugly and stupid. And I want to say is just ugly and stupid is when the universal translator kicks back on.
And they understand the aliens hear that as well. Ugly and stupid. And the big one kind of puffs up a little bit. And he turns and he motions to the 10 of the other aliens that are surrounding you. And he walks away. And they begin to advance on you, poking you with their spears to follow him.
Yep.
Doesn't seem like we have much of a choice.
I feel like we're going to die at the end of this.
I do have an idea, considering we've already broken probably close to about 20 first contact scenario procedures.
You've kind of broken every rule there was.
Yeah, what's a little bit more harm at this point?
Oh, I've been keeping track, trust me. I have a big report to fill out. Now,
8 of 13, you still have your phaser, yes?
She just kind of raises an eyebrow and just like nods.
I need it for a moment.
Why?
To show that I am a fire maker.
Gods, and just kind of like takes out her phaser and hands it over.
So I do put it on a setting, which this might kill the battery, but oh well, if it does, this will probably save us anyway. I put it on a setting that if it were to hit like a plant, it would catch fire, but not to the point like it would light up a building or it would light up like a significant structure. Like just like a plant would suffice.
Okay.
And as I, configure the phaser, I then sort of say very loudly so that everyone can hear me. I say, very well, I reveal my true purpose. I am a fire maker, and I shall prove that I am. And I point the phaser at, let's say, a potted plant or something of that variety that is nearby, and I shoot it with my phaser.
Okay. So we're going to do a control security roll. I'm going to make it, instead of a 2, I'm going to make it a 4. The reason being because you are surrounded very closely by these aliens, so you're not only going to have to hit your target, you're going to have to not hit them.
It's fair.
I'm a fire maker. Lights a guy on fire.
They catch on fire, right? It's a security control now, difficulty 4.
Okay. I don't have a focus. I'm rolling underneath a 12. I've already used my determination. Our phasers are only at 18%. And, the universal translator's on the fritz. So everything's fine here. We're doing just fine. How are you? Take the 6th threat. I'm rolling 5 die. Just take the 6th threat.
Okay.
GM, if she has to miss, let it hit Igni because his name means fire.
I mean, you guys are keeping me padded full of threat here. I have so many options.
Well, if we could roll for anything. Okay, 5 successes. Wow. That does get 1 momentum.
So you point towards, a potted plant. You fire. It kind of goes over the shoulder of one of the guards that was pushing you forward. That guard jumps back like it was shocked almost and looks back at you. And when your blast hits the plant, it shatters it. It doesn't catch on fire because you didn't have it set up the setting that high. But then you do notice, Talise, that the phaser at that point is completely depleted. Probably not only because of the setting, but also because of the range, like the duration you had to hold the button to actually hit that location. But that phaser is, you're just carrying around a dead weight at that point. But the large creature,
they don't know it.
The large creature stops, and he turns around and he walks back to you. And I'm going to spin some of this threat, create a complication. And he says, "Do you know of Vashuk?" Vashuk could be a name, or it could be a word the universal translator could not translate.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Out of character poll, yes or no?
Yes. Because I'm all about the chaos.
Considering that I've already lied to one of these people about basically being a god, I'm gonna say no. So I'll let you be the tiebreaker.
Okay. I say it is possible my people might have a different name for it.
Its head cocked to the side. It says, "Follow. You will follow." And it's walking pretty much in the same direction it was before. The guards that were surrounding you have expanded their circle, so they're not standing as close to you as they were before.
Mm-hmm.
They are much more alert, though. Like, whereas before they were just like, okay, follow him. Now they are all watching you, and they have their spears raised. But they are not as aggressively like coming at you. They have an appreciable distance now.
You know what I'm going to do, 8, when we get back to the ship?
Yes.
All the shuttles are going to be equipped with a chemical component weapon.
Why?
Just in case we lose our phasers, we can still shoot someone.
Are you suggesting using a barbaric method of gunpowder?
More or less compressed gas with the, gas cylinder and a tranq dart.
She just sort of looks at you nonplussed and just like, if you think that's best.
So the thread I'm spinning is several of the guards turn and look at you, Igni. I'm pretty sure they just heard you talking about shooting them.
Not with a bullet. And he says, I'm like, not with a bullet. With a sleeping dart.
I'll just, repeat what we said about him before to these creatures. Just points to him, just like, ignore this one. He is very stupid.
So as you follow the guard as they're pushing you towards kind of through the village, something that's been persistent throughout the day, some rain blows in and it starts off light, then it's heavy. This is not unusual. This has been happening all day in the jungle. And you guys are walking towards a large structure that looks different than the rest of the buildings here. As you're walking, you walk past more of these structures, which are mostly wood. It looks like they might have been built out of the jungle, but the structure you're walking towards is a large stone thing. It looks very, very much out of place. And you notice you're walking, the village thins out the village buildings that are made of wood, and you're walking towards this. As you approach, the guards kind of peel off, and it's just the four of you standing outside of this structure. And then the large green creature guy, he raises his hands and he starts saying some words that the universal translator cannot translate. It just kind of comes back as gibberish. And then the rain, which was heavy, all of a sudden just stops.
Eight of 13 will just and it's after the words that the bigger one speaks. Is that how that worked out? That the rain stopped?
Yeah, right when he was finished with whatever thing he was saying, the rain stopped.
She'll just kind of look like curiously towards him, and just ask, "Are you this village's great one?"
He says, "Yes, I am the great one." And actually, 8, at that moment, you notice a beep, and it looks like your tricorder is active.
Okay. She'll motion to Talise to kind of like look at the phaser and see if it's charged or not.
Is it?
The phaser is at 5%.
What about the disruptor I've been carrying around?
Nope, disruptor's not.
Darn. Hey, 5%, I'll take it.
Well, at least my tricorder's working now.
The big creature walks up to you and he says, "What do you know of Great One? Do you know of me?"
Not of you specifically, but it was mentioned when we met one of your, I'm not sure if tribe is the right word to use. One of your tribe's children told me about them.
He's kind of looking at you. "Why do you smell so badly? Where are your scales?"
From where my village is, we don't need them to survive.
And he's looking down at you still. "Why have you not been reclaimed?"
It's not completely necessary.
We are far enough away that we don't need to be reclaimed. It's something that we don't experience. Can you tell us what it means to you?
He again cocks his head to the side. "How do you not know about reclaimed?"
As I said, we are far, far away.
And you can tell he's thinking about it for a minute. And he looks down at your tricorder, which is beeping like the lights are on, and he says, What is that?"
And they'll just kind of look over at Igni. It's like, I don't know how to talk about this thing. And just kind of like puts it in, basically just puts it behind their back and clips it on somewhere.
It is a oracle stone. It allows us to see different things.
Igni, why don't you give me a command presence here, difficulty of 2, and what you're rolling for is to see how you're throwing a lot at him to see if he's buying it.
Difficulty 2.
Yeah, 2.
I'll give you. Sorry, I'm not gonna give you. I'm gonna use a momentum for a third dice. I don't have a focus for this, so.
I mean, the trend would be that you'll pass this one.
Don't say that.
Hey.
Told you.
And that was a difficulty 2 task?
Yeah, yeah, so you get a momentum. So the Great One walks to you, Igni, and he looks down at you and he says, "Oracle, you have come to give us knowledge. What do you have?"
Well, we have to compare notes. You have to tell us things about you, and then we see what we can tell you about us. But you have to tell us about this reclamation and reclaim stuff.
His head turns and he says, "You are here. I am to be reclaimed. You are to take my place."
No. It is. We are here to give you more of an understanding, but first you have to explain to us. Think of this as a test to test your communication skills.
You are an oracle, and yet you are very stupid.
What my friend is trying to say is that this is a test to see if you are ready to become a great one among all great ones.
I am ready. Ask your question.
I motion at Igni.
What does it mean to be reclaimed?
You are reclaimed when your time is over. You are removed. You are gone.
And how does this happen?
He motions to the opening to this this place that he's led you to. Ahead of him, there's an opening that leads into some kind of structure, and he points and he says, "You go into there, we enact ritual, and you are reclaimed."
And is the ritual carried out with, let's say, a weapon, or do you just disappear?
You stand before the altar and you are reclaimed.
Okay. He's just going to look back to them and was like, I don't think we're going to get much more than that.
I just look at 8 of 13 because, again, Talise is out of her depth here.
And 8 of 13 is out of theirs.
He looks at you and he says, are you here because someone entered the hole?
Is the hole that pointing to this area here?
No, that is where the reclaiming happens. The hole is forbidden. Did someone enter the hole? Is that why you are here?
Not that I'm aware.
Well,
why is the hole forbidden, if I may ask?
Why is the hole is forbidden? It is because it is. Why do the lights rise in the morning and set in the evening? It is because it is. The hole is forbidden.
Okay, well, you are partly right. We are here to look at a multitude of things. That means a lot.
Nudge him and I'm like, simpler words.
That means a lot of things. I was getting to that. I knew. We want to make sure no one has entered the hole. So, take us to the hole.
I will.
I've been waiting this whole time. Phrasing.
How big is this hole? Do you know how deep this hole is?
He looks at you. I will take you there. It is forbidden. And
it is the forbidden hole, you say.
he begins.
Igni will cover, not Igni, 8 of 13 will cover Igni's mouth again.
I knew when I said it with this group where I was going to go, but, hey, here we are.
To a big hole?
Here we are.
Big old hole in the ground.
Mistakes were made. He begins to walk around the structure that, he was leading you guys to originally. He moves you further and further behind it, and in this cliff, sort of over here.
I want to quickly just palm my type 1 just to see its charge.
Okay. Your type 1 is at a 16%.
All right, I'll just slip it back because it has the hidden property.
And he stops outside what looks like a cave. It's not a very impressive hole, maybe perhaps what you were thinking, but it's a cave. There are 2 column-like structures that are leading to the entrance of this hole, as it were. It looks mostly just like a cave entrance that leads down.
Okay, 8 of 13. Please use the Oracle Stone to inspect that the hole was not violated. It wasn't my intent to say that, but it just kind of slipped.
I'm taking a thread for that one. That needs it.
I'm going to look to the Great One and like, High Tower. What we're about to do is forbidden to be viewed by any except for the 3, which is us 3 here. You must look away or risk punishment.
And he nods. If someone entered the hole, then all will be destroyed, as it has been foretold.
Yes, we will use the Oracle Stone so it can gaze and make sure everything is fine. But for that to happen, those who have not seen it before must look away.
He walks over. This is good. I understand, stupid one.
And 8 of 13 will just sort of edge up carefully to the entrance of this thing and just run a quick scan.
So tell me what you were going to start looking for, because we are going to do a roll. What's the first thing that you're looking for here?
That's a good question. I am open to suggestions.
Energy source.
Yeah, I would be looking for an energy source, some sort of a field generator.
Mm-hmm.
Really, though, I think a power source is the most basic thing you can search for.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that, and then I will, if we get momentum, I'll just ask additional questions from there.
What you can tell when you open the tricorder is that it's running on nothing, pretty much, just some spare electrons. So you know this
So I
scan
could
that
probably
you're
get like one scan off of this thing.
well, what I was gonna say is you're gonna get this scan, and then any questions
Mhm.
you want to ask me through momentum, you can get that. But then after that point, your tricorder is done.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a science reason. Let's do a difficulty of 1.
Okay. Oh, good. We're shooting for a solid 10 with reason science. I'll spend that momentum for a third die.
Better burn a value.
I already did.
Ooh.
So let's see what happens. Yeah. I got the success at least.
So your original question that you were scanning for, which is kind of why I asked you to, was a power source. There is a very strong power source at the end of wherever this place goes to.
Okay.
And with that, your tricorder just zoop, cuts out.
During that scan, I'd been like next to her, just looking at it. I was like, "Oh no, this is not good. Great one of this village."
And he turns, "Are we to be destroyed?"
Not if we have anything to say about it. As you have surmised and guessed and figured out, we were sent here to make sure everything was fine. We can correct things too. We can fix things. We're going to have to go in and stop whatever is happening inside. So no one is destroyed.
He lets
But
out
only
a long,
us three.
he lets out a long sigh and he walks over to Igni, and he is probably a good meter taller than you. Like, this guy is just huge. And he looks down at you,
That hidden phaser.
and he puts both hands on your shoulder softly, actually, and he says, "Stupid one, you will save us. Though you look like a large jungle rat, somehow you will save us."
Well, all three of us will. You protect the village.
"Yes, I will."
Okay.
And he steps back.
Get everyone inside and make sure to tell everyone how much you care about them. And if everything goes right, we'll come out and let you know that everything's good.
Yes,
But
it will
make
be
sure
done.
Everyone has to be in a building.
There are many young ones who are in the jungle, but they are expendable.
Okay. Well, do what you can.
Particularly the one that brought you here. He is very expendable.
Yeah, he should have been faced in. Do you know what? Just go get everyone in the building quickly. The sooner the better.
I will do that. If you fail in your task and we are to be destroyed, do not worry. I will reclaim you first.
Okay.
He walks off, kind of satisfied with how that exchange went.
So, if we figure this out, we can have the shuttle just pick us up. And that way, we limit them seeing a shuttle. And he's just going to look like, is he gone? Okay, good. Okay, let's go. By the way, did we detect any traps on this thing? As I take a step into the cave.
Right. So you had no power to do that sort of check.
Yeah, Might I say that as we stumble into what I'm sure is a nest of traps, that this is most unorthodox, especially for Starfleet, to go to such lengths.
What, do you want to just be stranded on this planet completely and have no way off?
I did not say that. I simply am observing that your methods are perhaps, again, unorthodox.
Hey, I was simply meant to be jumping between security and operations and doing minimal work. Didn't expect this.
And my mother wanted me to be a singer. I fail to see the point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's go inside. He's just going to take a step and he's just like... Let's see if anything happens to him.
You are not disintegrated or destroyed. In fact, the air inside this cave, as you walk just a few steps in, is very cold. It descends sharply downwards very quickly.
Okay. Well, I will... 16%, you say, right? For my hand phaser?
It was 16, now it's about 10.
Okay. I'm going to just quickly pop out, grab a branch. I'm going to tear off some of my pant legs so now I have shorts. Wrap it around the stick. And use the phaser to ignite it. Just a little low, quick burst setting.
Well, that's just indecent.
I still have shorts. You just get to see my legs now.
I want you
Like
guys
I
to know
said,
that
indecent.
I want you guys to know that I didn't say the cave was dark, so he just tore his pants off because he wanted to, not because he had to.
I mean, I was about to point that out, but I'm glad you beat me to it.
Hey, just in case it gets dark, okay? Just let's go.
8 of 13, is it common on the Hope to have Starfleet officers disrobe themselves in such a manner?
Only if it's needed in sick bay, but this one seems to like to do it for pleasure, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Oh my god. What's your rank again compared to me?
Last I checked, I was one of the great ones, so please
No.
proceed.
I'll make sure to put that in my report too. Oh, great one. Just shake his head and walk down the steep path. Does it get darker at all? Because I really wanted to. Can I give you 2 threat for it to get darker?
Yeah, you can give me 2 threat to make it darker. But just for you. The others are fine. Just for you.
Justification for his fucking torch.
It's only dark for you.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So I assume the others are following you in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to confirm before he gets naked. So there's a montage as the 3 of you are descending down into this cave, and ahead of you there's a blue glow that continues to get brighter as you move further and further down. The change that's very apparent is it gets a lot colder. Whereas outside the jungle, it was humid, pretty hot. It's actually getting down to the point to where, I don't know, Igni, you might have wished you had your pants still, but
I have fur.
That's
I'm
true.
double
You do have
layered. I'm fine. Also, this torch is now giving you guys heat. Enjoy.
But the cave opens up to a huge cave opening structure, and the blue glow is from a myriad of crystals that are in formations all throughout the cave. There's some water trickling from the ceiling. These crystals are glowing softly, like pulsing in and out. There's also a structure here, so it's not just a cave. It looks like there's pillars and columns, that some of which are collapsed. And there is a path that continues on in front of you. It leads further into this cave, really, and continuing to follow it. If you do, it's just a brighter and brighter light ahead of you.
Well, this is fascinating.
Yeah, like what type of crystals are these? Like, are these what I think they are? Jim, are they dilithium crystals?
That's the sort of thing you're going to need to use a tricorder for or a roll for.
The tricorders we have that are dead.
Well, I have engineering 3. Would I be able to take a guess?
Since you guys have 0 momentum, I will make you do a roll here. It's just going to be pretty low. Let's do an engineering reason difficulty of 1.
Might I suggest an increased complication range because he's literally licking the crystal? Because that's how you tell if it's dilithium.
It's a lick test. Like,
I'm going to spend 2 threat here.
I have cancer now.
This is a complication that might be floating around if you fail this check.
All right. Do I increase the complication range by any?
No, this is a complication if you fail.
Okay. Here's one threat for an extra dice.
Thanks.
Sticking with it. There you go.
As you approach the crystal, it glows brighter, and you look down at your phaser, and your phaser is 0% power. Just soaks it up.
Oh. Well, don't think it's the lithium. But now I just taste blue.
Oh, and to be a jerk, your torch goes out too.
Oh, no! Well, damn it. Just throws it off the side.
The darkness that affected only you kind of melts away, and you do see what everyone else sees in the brightly blue cave.
Yeah, he's just gonna sigh. He's like, I hate this planet.
You seem to hate most things.
Yeah, well, I
He's
really hate
occasioned.
Mondays.
What do you think?
You should see me on Mondays. I hate them too.
Is this a reference to some old Earth media?
No, it's an ensign down in engineering. He's awful. Always sick. But he's always like really happy too. It's just,
I thought that was.
yeah, Ensign Monday. Yeah. Anyways, tell us, while we're talking and chatting and becoming all well more acquainted, what province are you from?
You mean on Vulcan?
Yes.
I fail to see how that has any relevance to our current situation.
Yeah, it's called idle chit-chat as we wander into the dark abyss.
You mean the one we can see perfectly fine in?
I mean the abyss of death. Because if we don't figure this out, we're going to get killed.
I believe you are the one that is getting reclaimed first.
After all, you are the stupidest.
Well, if I remember correctly, Teles will be joining after, and then you shortly after that.
Personally, I see this as an absolute win.
So not the Kier province, huh? Everyone there is a little nicer towards Cations.
I just sort of laugh and say, we don't have very many Cations in my province, or rather, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen a Cation until I left Vulcan behind.
Oh. Interesting. Well, I found Vulcan to be pretty nice.
Nice and hot, isn't it?
Oh, I loved laying under rocks during a sunny day. Oh.
I feel like this is again a reference to some Earth fauna, but perhaps we should proceed towards the source of this larger glow.
Yeah, let's take a look at our death. I mean, possible solution.
Which, out of character, it's just occurred to me, if there's a goddamn spore where we're going, I swear to God, GM Josh, I swear to God.
This is his way of railroading us back to the main story.
No, it's a great idea, but it's not what I had in mind.
Sure. It could make it that way.
It's a giant flower, because nothing goes wrong with those.
No, it's a giant bee. Like, have you seen my spores?
Oh, God.
It's a bee, but it's really big and strong. It's a big, swole bee.
Sorry, we're walking through the dark. Sorry, through the lightness towards the light.
As you guys are walking through the cavern, as you draw close to any of those crystals, they begin to glow, and everything electronic that you're carrying is just completely drained of power. So, Talise, your disruptor, your phaser, anyone else had a phaser with power, it's just completely soaked up. All of your equipment is dark.
Has my board arm basically just gone limp at this point?
I think you probably biologically power it somehow in a way that can't be shut off, but you have much reduced function with it. So there's probably a power pack of some kind that's needed, and that's not functioning.
Kinetic motion recharging.
Just
your own body's charging it.
Just start
rolling. I can
rolling.
only bend like a couple fingers at this point. Just like, let's get
It's
out of
frozen.
here quick.
It's frozen, giving Igni the finger. That's where it's frozen.
Oh, well, look at that.
Igni will just look at you like, Itashalavun. Ah.
We shall proceed.
And the cave opens up into a much larger structure. There's a large stone pillar in the center of this room. The crystals are gone. Those are in the chamber behind you. But this chamber, as it opens up, it actually opens up outside to a point, very, very high up. And around this stone column, there is a electrical field that's pulsing blue, and that's the source of this light. And suspended in air are two aliens that are connected by this energy field, and they are just hung up. They're just hanging in space. There's nothing physically you can see that's suspending them. And they looked insect-like. They have multiple eyes. They have multiple legs. They each have 8 arms and legs total. And their eyes are opening and closing rapidly. And they're just floating there. There's lots of symbols and stuff, carvings on the side of the pillar in the center. That's what you see.
Howdy.
I don't think they can hear us.
Oh, one second. Howdy.
I don't think that's the point.
Well, next idea is this. He's going to pick up a little rock. He's like, do we get their attention, or do we...
Are you going to toss a rock at him?
He's looking back at the group like, do I get their attention, or do we poke the pillar?
I would suggest the pillar.
As would I.
The pillar in the deep hole. Okay. Walk up to the pillar. Keeping an eye on the floaties.
As you approach the pillar, nothing changes.
I just look back at them like, if I die, tell my wife I said hello.
I mean, I have been saving this joke for quite a while, but won't you already meet her in hell?
She's still alive. That's just mean. Puts his hand on the pillar. Just a little sad now.
Igni, when you touch the pillar, you feel a jolt, and you were carrying a tricorder, correct?
Nope. I just had my phaser.
Okay, well, your phaser, the lights come back on.
Hey. Who else? Hey, 8, come here.
Okay.
Let me see that arm for a second.
I am perfectly capable of putting it against the pillar myself.
Yeah, but let me see it for a second.
Why?
Because it'll be funny.
Then no. And I'm just going to touch my arm against the pillar.
Which arm? Your organic arm or your Borg arm?
I'm going to say the Borg arm.
Let's do a security fitness difficulty of 1.
Oh, God.
I'm going to go ahead and present a complication in case you fail.
I want to assist by making sure that arm makes contact.
God. Yeah. My fitness security is halfway decent, so yeah. Okay.
Just
good.
1 success. Very good. You feel your arm come back to life, and then you feel a jolt as well, and your tricorder turns back on. It sounds like it's scanning again, and your phaser recharges.
Cool.
Okay, your turn. Come here. He's just going to wiggle a finger at Teleth.
Talise just sort of rolls her eyes and strides off to a point maybe about 3 feet to the left of Igni and sees if touching it restores her disruptors.
It does. And in fact, Talise, now that you're standing so close to the pillar, can you give me a command insight difficulty 1, please?
Again, an amazing stat, but, that seems to be the thing. All right, survey says, nope, I know nothing.
Okay, yeah.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing.
When we touch the pillar, do those bug things react to us?
They did not.
All right, well, we got tricorders. Do you want to start scanning them?
No, we might as well. Yeah, I might as well. And I will. Well, before I do that, because this will probably be reason medicine if I scan the bugs.
Yep. If you want to scan them first, the difficulty there will be a 1.
Okay. I'm shooting for a 12. Is anybody's reason medicine higher?
Mine is a 14.
8.
Does Talise have a form of a tricorder on her, or just those disruptors?
Just the disruptors.
Okay, then. I will make this roll on my own, then.
Talise does have a focus that would apply here.
Yeah, but I've just met her, so I'll handle this myself and see what
You don't
happens.
touch someone's tricorder when you've just met them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to at least go to dinner once first.
That's
Maybe
fair.
not on the first away mission. Second, third, maybe.
All right. Yeah. Of course. I know nothing.
Yeah.
Edson, if I might be so bold, you are literally holding the tricorder upside down.
Just kind of like shoves it into Talise's hands.
At that moment, 8, you see a very different expression on Igny's face, like a very serious expression that lasts for a split second, and then he quickly snaps out of it.
Is something wrong, Lieutenant?
No, just thinking of the report.
Talise is going to scan. Difficulty was a 1, yes?
It was a 1. Correct.
Okay. Have a threat. Survey says...
Actually, Talise, I'll get... Well,
Damn
okay,
it.
you did. I was going to give you success at cost. That's fine.
Okay. Well, hey, I still get a momentum.
You do what you can spend to ask a question. So with your scan, give me the first thing that you would like to know, which you will know for free.
First thing I want to know for free is how are the bugs and the structure connected? Like, how are they related? Are these trapped individuals? Are they controlling the pillar? Like, what's their deal?
They are, it looks like they're in a form of suspended animation. However, it doesn't look like it's working very well. The scan confirms it. It seems that they're in intense pain.
Okay, then the momentum question I have is there a way that I can either turn off this pillar, shunt the power somewhere else, or cause a cascade without blowing up the entire jungle?
And I will give you this answer. You can turn this off. It seems to be very easy to do. There's actually like a control like at the front of this pillar. However, if you turn off this life support system, you will be shutting off the entire planet. And you quickly realize by looking at following the trail of what this does, it seems that the entire planet is running the power to suspend these people in animation. And as a side effect of doing that, the system appears to be haywire. It is also running the something that's creating an atmosphere here. It's running something that's controlling the environment. It's doing all of this stuff as sort of like a side effect when it's probably singular mission was to just preserve them in like a suspended animation, but it's doing all of this other stuff sort of on accident. But if you shut it off, you'll be shutting off the planet.
I grimace, or as much as a Vulcan can grimace, and turn and say, I have bad news and even worse news. Where should I begin?
Worst news.
Worst news is that if we turn off this pillar in any way, shape, or form, this entire planet structure will cease to function.
And the bad news?
The bad news is that those, pointing at the 2 insectoids, are in extreme pain. This life support system, for lack of a better word, is not keeping them in the suspended animation it should.
Oh.
Therefore, I will outline it because some of us are very ugly, smelly, and stupid. I look at Igni. We have a choice before us. We may either turn off this planet and save 2 individuals, but doom countless others in the process, or we attempt to get them out by some other means.
Well, if I remember correctly in the Toaster's report, there's 5 million humanoids on this planetoid. Can we fix it?
GM.
You'd have to examine it further to try to understand how it should work. But you can tell Igni, with your knowledge of engineering, that this is a very complicated system. The fact that it is something that's running the size of a planet means that it is very sophisticated, perhaps outside of the realm of typical Starfleet knowledge.
The other idea is, can we swap them out?
You mean to suggest continuing the path of pain by relieving these two of their torture and putting someone else in their place?
Yeah.
And suppose you have the foolhardy suggestion of putting yourself in there.
He's just going to look at 8 for a second, and that expression will come back and yeah.
That's going to be a solid no from me.
Ensign, I outrank you.
Can I pull anything on him as the de facto chief of security of the ship?
I mean, technically he has a higher rank, but you have a higher job. So
you could pull phaser on him.
You could pull. You have a functional phaser.
Could. I have a phaser too.
Yeah, but I'm better with mine.
Are you?
All right, so here's what happens. We all go for our phasers and disruptors, and since I have two, I'm putting one at each of you. Okay, let's calm down. Not logical.
Look, I'm not saying permanently, just enough to get them out, to have them hopefully figure out how to fix it, change it, or whatever to let the ship get back up in the air. And then you guys beam down, figure it out, get me out, fix everything. It's just temporary.
I mean, I am not Starfleet, and I lower my disruptors. I am not Starfleet. I have no rank or sway over you in any way, shape, or form. But from, again, a pure logic standpoint, there are many ways this could go wrong.
Oh, yeah, no, there's countless ways. And either we accept our life living on this planet, being killed at any moment, and also, we have no idea what bacteria is going to do to us anytime soon here. So, I'm just remembering all my class crash courses in First Contact and going to a new biome. If we can get one of them out, or both of them out, and have me pop into its place and keep this planet going, hopefully one of those two guys knows how to fix this thing and either lower the field or allow our ship to get out, and we can then go back to the Hope, figure things out, come back, fix this thing, get me out.
I look at my tricorder readings. Is there a way that this could be accomplished?
If you give me one threat, I'll give you that answer.
I will give you the one threat.
So it looks like you could probably remove one of the aliens. The problem here is the entire system. This entire system that's running this planet accidentally is designed to just put these two people in suspended animation. So if you were to remove them both, it would probably just shut down. If you remove one of them, part of it might shut down and you could swap a person. And then if you wanted to, you could try to take out the second person. But taking them both at once is probably going to have catastrophic outcomes.
So yeah, I just sort of point at each one of the insectoids in turn and I say, well, which one do we feel is the most lucky?
Which one has the biggest head? Typically those are the smart ones.
Also, Talise, what you have gleaned is that this is a very old system, on an order of millions of years old. So not only is it buggy, as you can see, but there might also be unexpected behavior when you start to tamper with it.
I don't know, Jim. I can only see 2 bugs in its system currently.
God.
I'm sorry.
Can I take threat for that one?
I walked right into that one. That's on me. It's okay. When we make the roll, I'll just make it higher for Igni.
Yeah, you know. So Talise points all of this out and says, if I am able to get one of them out, it would lead to a partial shutdown. But it's hard to say what the partial shutdown would mean, whether that would mean the atmosphere goes or the gravity goes. I do not know, but it is possible that just taking one of them out would suffice.
If we lose atmosphere, that might as well just be a death sentence. From an engineer standpoint, that's like a bulkhead just suddenly not being there in a pressure-filled room.
I'm very much aware of that.
Not to mention also all the pressure would be gone too. Anyone with a full set of lungs of air would just... So, how about we do the original idea? I take one of their places. So we take one down, I go in its place.
Perhaps I wasn't clear about the method. I would still have to remove them from the system, and they would be removed perhaps only for seconds for the time to you to take their place. But that would still be seconds in which a partial shutdown could lead to a cascading failure. Whereas if we simply just pull them out...
Why not introduce me as a third and then pull the other one out?
Mostly because I am concerned that this is a very specific system meant to keep two things alive, not three.
Well, the other dumb idea I got is climb up the tower, jump out, shove one out, and take its place in the same second. Hopefully no interruption then.
She actually considers this very thoughtfully and says, that would make sense, yes. Again, we have no way of knowing what the beam would do to you. The system is, again, designed for an unknown alien. It could very well vaporize you.
Well, hopefully it doesn't do that, because there's 5 billion people, or 5 million. So, yeah, 5 million people. What's that thing you always like to say, Vulcans? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few?
It is a proverb that a certain member of Starfleet, Mr. Spock, liked to say, yes.
No, I've heard it a bunch of times already. Okay, so plan is I climb up and I jump at one of them and push them out and take its place.
Which one did you want to replace?
Okay, guys. Which one looks like mostly the egghead? This one here looks too happy. That's not the sign of a smart one.
Yeah, but the right one has weird eye things going on where like one is like opaque and the other one's not.
He could be blinded by his success of being so brilliant.
I feel like that's the trap choice. No, we're gonna go with the left one.
This one here? Okay.
I love the scientific method that went through this decision.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna. How high are they up from the pillar, from the ground?
It's pretty high. To where if it doesn't work and it doesn't capture you, and you just fall, it could be fatal. If they fall, they're gonna fall into water, so it probably won't be fatal.
Because I'm thinking of like getting up like up here and then jumping down. So like I kind of have like an angled motion.
Okay.
I'm a cat. I land on my feet.
I think we would.
I
think we'll call this a security fitness. I think this is a difficulty 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it a 4 with the threat.
You're gonna make it a 4. Oh, oof. Okay. Now, is this the climbing and jumping to take its place, or is that gonna be a separate roll?
I was gonna do all of it in one roll. So this is both climbing and jumping, and if you fail, I'll figure out which part you fail in.
Okay. So if it's all one roll, then to get into its place, I am going to pop my determination if that's my understanding.
Yep.
Okay.
What's your value?
I don't back down even if it means harm to myself.
Yep, that sounds perfect.
Oh, and a complication if it does arise, my clothing gets vaporized.
So you're just totally nude. Okay.
Yeah. Except my boots. My boots are made of rubber, so they're fine.
You're Acacian. You don't wear boots.
Oh, all right. All right, so I got
Now
two
I just like to
successes.
imagine that he's just been walking around funny the entire time because he's wearing rubber boots.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you 2 threat for an extra dice. And I'm trying to use my hand-eye coordination, be very perceptive of how to jump at the time and all that stuff. So could perception be a focus?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that means I have 3 dice now, right? Give him 2. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't use determination that often.
So I believe that's 5 successes.
So, yeah, 5 successes.
So you have one more momentum there. Igni, what happens is you climb your way up the pillar, you pick the right angle, you vault yourself off, and when you you meet in contact with this creature, you kick it aside, it's pulled out of this energy field, and you are pulled into its place. And the creature goes falling into the water. And immediately its legs start skittering as it's trying to get out.
I rush over to see if it needs any assistance.
It does, because it may seem as though it kind of looks like maybe this creature doesn't know how to swim, or perhaps its species cannot swim.
Right.
But above you, you see Igni frozen, very much in the same pose as when he jumps and he was caught in the energy beam. And his eyes are also flickering like the guy to his right. But the good news is no noticeable change as far as you can tell to the planet.
All right. So as I'm helping this individual out of the water, I say, are you able to hear me? Can you understand me?
It looks at you for a minute, and then all 6 of its eyes blink a few times, because it's 3 on each side. And it also is probably very tall, but it's hunched over on all of its legs. And it looks at you. Oh, what are you?
I am a visitor from a very faraway place. Tell me, do you know how this works? And I motion at the pillar.
That is a... And the creature looks around. That is a preservation chamber. Where are we?
I want to get a read on him. Does he say this like, oh yeah, it's just some casual preservation technology, or is this more of a, oh, this is a sacred artifact type thing?
I'll make you do a roll, because this is a creature you've never seen before, and it's kind of like a giant bug. So this seems like something that would be difficult. Command Insight, difficulty 2.
Spending that momentum. I didn't pass.
Well, for the reason I just said, you can't really read it because it's got 6 eyes, it's a giant bug, and you've never seen one before.
All right, so, hey, I'm not Starfleet. It's not my ass on the line. I simply say, we are from a starship. Are you familiar with those?
I am very familiar with space travel. I have not heard that term starship.
But you have achieved spaceflight, yes?
Of course. You
Good. That
look
makes this a lot easier.
You look very much like a preserver.
Talise thinks for a moment and says, you wouldn't happen to be referencing a species that looks sort of like that. I motion at 8 of 13, but balder and with less defined features. Maybe more of a curved face.
Its head tilts to the side, and it takes 2 of its arms, because it has 6 total, 3 on each side, and it rubs the front 2 together and just sort of looks at 8 for a second. And then it says, I have never seen creatures like you before.
Well, that is because you have been in there, and I point up at the pillar, for possibly millions of years.
It continues to scratch its 2 front legs together a bit. Millions of years. How can you be certain?
Honestly, it's a best guess at this point, but judging by how this whole planet works, my guess is that this has been in place for quite a long period of time on a cosmic scale. Uh, to put it
Planet?
bluntly, I'm sorry, you said the planet?
This is a planet?
Correct. We are currently on, well, I wouldn't call it a planet per se, it's not an orb. It is more like a continent ripped up and thrown out into the vastness of space. But this preservation chamber, is powering the entire thing. And if we were to rescue our friend, I point at Igni, or what I'm assuming is your friend, I point at the insectoid, it would cause the entire system to fail, and all the people living on this planetoid would cease to be. That's why I'm hoping you know how to either fix or otherwise find a way to release at least one of the two suspended there.
It thinks for a minute. And it walks over to the pillar and just starts examining it. And it's just standing there for a while. And you can look up at Igni and see it looks like Igni's in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And after a moment passes, the creature returns. I am afraid that I do not know of a way to repair this system. It is heavily malfunctioning. It should not have created this environment. It is possible that it created this accidentally. It is drawing high amounts of power, and more programs are running to change the weather, to create food that I do not understand. You said there is a population living here.
Yes, small indigenous, well, as much as indigenous means. I don't know, would you call them primates, 8?
Sure.
That or some lizard folk variety. Case in point, yes, there are approximately 5 million intelligent inhabitants of this rock.
5 million. And in your travels, have you heard of the species called the Manraloth?
Can you spell that for me out of character?
It's Manraloth.
Manra Loth. Okay. No, I cannot say that I have ever encountered a Manra Loth before. Do you know your general location in the galaxy?
We are approximately, and he names off how many light years from the galactic core, which would put him somewhere between Andoria and Beta Z.
Okay. Still a very large distance, but it would just confirm that he is I think that's technically Alpha Quadrant. So.
Yeah, Alpha Quadrant for sure.
All right. Well, I have good news and bad news, which I seem to be saying a lot today. The good news is that you are still galactically close to where you're supposed to be. The bad news is that you are quite literally a quadrant away. Now, we can fix that, but humor me. What would it take to fix something of this scale? Would you need time, resources, or is it simply too far gone?
It has there are many problems. The system is very antiquated. You said millions. I think that is close to correct. The power system is completely destroyed, which is why it draws power from all things around it. In fact, it seems as though it has captured a star in orbit of this facility to draw power from it specifically. I do not know how we would replace that. I am unfamiliar with the amount of power it would require to sustain all the systems that are drawing upon it. The inhabitants are using this system to survive. it is a very complex problem. I do not know even if the systems could handle that much change.
Talise thinks for a moment, strokes her chin in thought, and says, so what you're saying is you need an energy reaction that is capable of emulating a star's output. Is that correct?
The amount of power we would need would be equal to several stars.
Several stars. Well, this is just me spitballing, but when you think of it, a star is just a very big fusion reaction. And we are capable of doing antimatter-matter reactions, which far exceed that of a fusion reactor. Do you think, and I list off some gigajoule, exajoules, whatever power I need to go to, do you think if we were to make 1, 2, 3, etc. of these power cores, would that suffice?
And you guys exchange back and forth the power outputs of warp cores, which I can't even get close to remembering what it's supposed to be. But he looks at you and he says, that would not be nearly enough. It would take scores of your warp cores to generate the power. Understand, it is not that the machine needs this much power. It's that this amount of power is being drawn from it to power this that you see around you. It is not designed to do this. It is acting strangely. It has created this place, these beings, this atmosphere, this entire system just to sustain its aberrant behavior. It would need more power if we were to shut the system down.
What if we did this? What if we lessen the draw from the star, shutting down non-essential system? This would allow us to get back to our shuttle, contact our ship, and see if we could bring in additional warp cores. The thought being that you would be able to slowly wean the inhabitants of this planet off of needing so much power while introducing the new power. Is this something you think could happen?
You mentioned that your ship you are stranded here. Is that true?
Yes, my shuttlecraft landed before these two, and I pointed Igni and 8. These two crash landed shortly after I did.
It is. I have a solution that I believe would solve the problem. The problem with this system needing so much power is that it is built to sustain the two of us, my colleague and I. In addition to everything else that it is performing, it would not need quite as much power if it were only sustaining the life of one. Now, in order for this to happen, we should trick this system into believing that there are two forms so that it may function correctly. However, with only one form alive, then that is only one half of the power that it will require, which I believe should return power to your systems, and you should be safe to return home without damaging the rest of this ecosystem.
So what you're essentially suggesting, if I follow your logic, is that you wish to, what is the Earth term? You wish to set up a prisoner's dilemma, wherein either you or your colleague are trapped in suspended animation, potentially in great pain, in order to sustain this world's inhabitants.
That is a condition that cannot change. What I'm proposing, and he walks over actually to where he's sort of next to the pillar, is I understand now that in order for the system to only have, it is a puzzle. The system needs two people in order to sustain, but it cannot sustain two people in order to have the function necessary that does not draw power from your ship. So the only answer to that puzzle is it has two beings that it has suspended, but only one being is alive.
Talise looks to 8, very solemn, or, well, solemn as a Vulcan can get, and goes, well, Ensign, It seems that the fate of this situation falls to you. You are the ranking Starfleet officer, and as this is technically a Starfleet operation, I will defer to your expertise and decision in this matter. So, do we allow this individual to commit ritualistic suicide to save potentially 5 million inhabitants? Or, and I don't know why I'm offering this as an option, but I will anyway, do we allow Igni to take that individual's place?
And the creature says, I should be the one to go. My species, I could tell by your reaction, are not something that you know of. So I have a choice to either remain frozen forever, to die, or to continue life in a galaxy that does not know my people. Given those choices, I believe the most humane thing would be for my death, especially knowing that it could save so many. Your friend, and he points to Igni, I'm sure has a life and things that he could return to. There is nothing that I can return to.
I just look to 8 to see if 8 has anything to say before I say something else.
8 is having a hard time thinking about what should be done, considering that this is probably the biggest decision they've had to make since exiting the academy. I might not be the biggest fan of him, pointing to Igni, but of no insult to you, talking directly to the creature. He has people that know him on the Hope and people that love him, if the wife that he's talking about is a real thing. If you are okay with taking up this almost suicide, then I'm not going to try and make you not do it.
Very well. It seems that our Starfleet officer has made their decision, which means you may do this with his her blessing. However, I do have 2 conditions, if you do not mind.
And the creature nods. Yes, what are your conditions?
The first is I would like some form of a data dump about your species, your culture. They may not exist anymore, but perhaps through knowledge of them, they could once again be known to the inhabitants of the galaxy.
I would very much like that. It looks around and retrieves.
I just offer up the tricorder.
Oh, and it looks at your tricorder. This is a crude device. However, I will enter in what I can. The system is quite rudimentary, and you see it holding it in its arms, which are way too big for the tricorder. It's having a hard time pressing buttons, but it does enter a few things. This is the information that might be relevant to you. I'm sure things have changed very much.
The second condition is, how alive do you need to be when this whole switch and death occurs?
The way I would like the process to happen is I will activate the device. It will exchange me with your friend. Once I am in the system, I believe you have an energy weapon. Is that correct?
I have several. I was thinking of something a little more humane, though. And I pull out the hypo spray, which I made a point not to put back in the med kit from when I did the doctor's help. And I say, I could give you an injection. Obviously, I'm just making a guess here, but seeing as how it works on most species that we've encountered so far, I'm willing to bet it would do the same for you. We could potentially put you in a medical coma. That way your passing was at least pleasant.
Now that you've said this, I have a favor to request from you.
By all means.
If you have this technology to remove pain, I would like you to administer that upon my friend Donna. He points to the creature. Donna is obviously in pain. I will not be able to save him. If you could remove his pain, then I will go to my end in much more peace.
I will make it happen.
And he says, well, remember my people, if asked. We were the Manmerloth. We perhaps were foolish in our dreams. We sometimes reached too far and failed often.
I give them the Vulcan salute, but instead of saying, peace, long life, etc., I say, die knowing that you will not be forgotten.
And it raises a claw and tries to do an answered reply with a Vulcan salute, but it just doesn't manage it. But it does give you one arm raised. And it says, please do not forget my friend.
I will not. You have my word.
And then it manipulates the controls. And what happens is the energy field changes for just a moment. A bolt of this blue lightning hits it, and it changes place with Igni. And Igni drops to the ground into the water.
Did it work? Did we get everything fixed? We good? We saved 2 guys?
No, you're going to have to deliver 2 hyposprays to them.
What?
So
How long was it in there?
This is very important, and I hold up a vial and I hold up the hypospray. What's in the hypospray now goes into that one. I point at the right one. What goes in the second vial goes into the one that we let free and talk to. It's very important you do not get these mixed up.
Okay, why?
Long story short, your ensign made a very critical decision that will save millions of lives.
Okay, why 2 separate shots?
One is to kill, the other is to take away pain.
Okay, and which one's the non-pain one? Which is the pain taking away one? Not the kill one.
The pain removal is the one that's currently in the hypospray.
Okay, I'm putting that into my right hand. This is the morphine, let's say.
Crude example, but yes.
The one on my left is...
I would not inject it into yourself. Yeah, that's why I said it. I was like, he's going to totally just inject himself. And I'll be like, well...
You only live once, YOLO. No. Alright, so... Why are we killing them? Or at least one of them?
From what we were able to gather from... Oh, dear me, I don't think we ever got the poor individual's name. That seems rather much like an oversight now. Anyways, the individual that we freed, he or she or they, I'm not really sure, they imparted that in order to allow us to escape and still maintain this environment for those that live on it, one of the 2 suspended in that, motioning at the energy sort of barrier, one of them would have to die. And unfortunately, we explored options such as bringing in warp cores, fusion reactors, things to take over, and it simply cannot be done. This is unfortunately a hard decision to make, but one that logic dictates we must take.
So, I just want to be clear. It's tricking the system into lowering the dampening field so we can get off.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And he said he can't repair anything, or he has not enough time to repair anything. Is that what I'm understanding?
It is simply not feasible with our current technology.
Okay. Okay. Well, sure. So without a dampening field means the Hope can come here, grab us, whatever, we're good then, right?
That is the hope.
That's the ship. Okay.
I seem to have made an inadvertent pun. My apologies.
I'm going to run up the pillar to grab this guy and give just jump up and into whatever I can.
I won't make you do a roll for that, but I would like to know, are you actually following Talisa's instruction and giving the right hypo to the right person?
Yes, I'm giving the right hand hypo to this man, so he's in less of pain.
Mhm.
As soon as you inject him with that, the eyes that were flickering and he was kind of convulsing before kind of fades away, and his expression just goes perfectly at peace.
Okay. Just gonna look at them stasis field, right? This is keeping them at their state currently.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Gonna run up, gonna jump like I did before, and I'm going to knock the guy out as I inject myself with the hypo spray.
Yeah, there's no stopping that. And I saw it coming, but I didn't want to take away Shizno's thunder there.
Igni, I do want you to make a roller because that sounds like a pretty difficult to maneuver for him to do. Let's do a security fitness. The difficulty is going to be 2.
Okay. I'm going to give you all the threat.
Okay.
Perception, again, doing hand-eye coordination, making sure I'm knocking him out like I did before.
Yep.
Okay. Boo.
So 2 momentum. Yeah, you replace... You probably have to inject yourself just at the last second, but you push the alien out of the field and you inject yourself, and the effects are very quick. And Igni does die very quickly, and the alien does fall to the water. He's splashing again into the water because it looks like he can't swim.
And it is a very heavy sigh that Talise keeps her composure, goes over, fishes out Mr. Bugman, and says, remember how I said I keep saying there's good news and bad news?
And the creature looks up at Igni and says, I'm greatly saddened.
As I believe all of us are, but this is a chance for you to spread the word of your people yourself. Assuming we live to tell the tale.
And its head lowers even further and it says, I was hoping it was time to see my ancestors. I wanted to tell them about the things that I had seen and how much I miss them.
Well, if there's one thing that I know, is that as far as all medical science is concerned, death is an inevitability. You will one day. It is inevitable. But for now, you can do some good.
And 8, your communicator chirps.
As I'm going off of my monologue, 8, you can call back to the ship.
This is Ensign 8 of 13.
This is Ensign McGinnis. The shuttle system just came back online. Whatever you guys did, good job.
Excellent. Let me try to make another call. Ensign 8 of 13 to the USS Hope.
And you get some static. McGinnis cuts in. I could fly the shuttle over and pick you guys up at this point. It looks like all the systems are coming back on, and we should probably get moving. I think McGowan it's not looking very good.
All right, we might as well get the hell out of here. Major, I believe you probably don't have much of a choice but to come with us if you want to get off this rock.
I did not think that needed to be said.
And the creature walks to you, Talise, and it says, you mentioned something about us all meeting our end.
I did, yes.
I think I would like to stay here on this world and explore it to see what the devices of my people have created. Perhaps one day I can free my friend. Maybe that will honor your friend's sacrifice.
Then let me do something for you. And I don't know. Would we have? I guess I still kind of have Igni's communicator, don't I? Because that's the one I jury-rigged to get the universal translator to working.
Yeah. I'd allow that. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off of myself. I'm going to record a pre-programmed message that either through the 2 momentum spend to make an advantage or, some sort of a roll. But my intention is that it is Igni's voice that says, "We were successful. This individual before you is a great one above all great ones. You are to treat him with respect and honor." And then I hand it to, again, we still haven't gotten this guy's name. I hand it to him and I say, "If you play that message for the indigenous people, they will not simply kill you for sport or for cultural reasons. That will allow you to explore without, you know what, you're going to need these two." And I hand him a disruptor.
And the creature looks at the weapon and says, "If those are your weapons, I will not need them. Even if my life is at risk, I do not want them."
Fair enough.
And he points to Igni. If I may please, what was its name?"
His name was Igni.
It is a coincidence that word Igni in my culture means smelly jungle rat.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to get along just famously with the inhabitants of this rock.
I am both nervous and I look forward to meeting them. And to you, and he points to you, Tillis, and 8. Until our paths cross again, I promise that I will try to live my days in respect to your friend's sacrifice.
Give him another Vulcan salute, and I say, this time I will use what apparently I should have said in the first place. Live long and prosper.
And it nods. And to you, the same. And then over your communicator, you hear 8. This is McGinnis. If you guys are ready to go, I'm ready to get out of here.
As am I, Ensign.
I've got a lock on the two of you and something not Igni. What's he up to?
About 20 feet off the ground.
Is there a 8? There's a long pause that should probably give Ensign McGinnis a clue as to what probably happened to Igni.
Understood. Energizing. And there's the effect you guys are familiar with, the whooshing of light as you are dematerialized and you disappear from the cave. And the creature takes one last look at Igni and begins to walk towards the exit. And in our last scene for today, as the shuttle flies over the village, the mother alien looks to the small one. And the small one looks up at the shuttle as you fly away and just kind of fixated on it. The mother doesn't seem to notice the shuttle, but she turns to the small one and says, You, get back to your task. You are young and you are stupid. If you do not go now, you will surely be eaten.